So welcome everyone sa Knights of the Net online meetup. So ito na yung pang ilan natin? Pang third na ata. Okay. So for sure marami sa atin na excited na marinig ulit at yung mga speakers natin excited to learn kasi kaya naman tayo nag-join siguro dito sa group na to is we have our own intentions then, and most of us, of course, we all want to learn and we want to share and contribute. So I hope lahat naman siguro tayo siguro mga advocate by heart and somehow patriot to our country. Tama ba?
Tama. Ikaw ang talagang totoong patriot, di ba? Nag-join pa talaga, di ba?
Ayan, so
ma'am, sabihin ko lang sa kanila, sa mga, siguro mga ibang attendees dito na hindi pa alam kung yung Knights of the Net na yan. So, intentionally, originally, ang intention is to help the government, help our friends sa military, and sa mga law enforcement to grow their knowledge, parang kung ano yung mga knowledge na natutunan ng mga sa private, i-share sa government. Pero dahil lumaki na yung grupo and na-realize natin na gusto rin pala matuto ng mga nasa private sector, so yun, naging turuan na lang na activity talaga. Formerly, ang mga meetups, talagang we meet, yung nagkikita-kita talaga sa isang lugar, pero because of the pandemic, lahat tayo nag-online. And then when we started yung first event, we just expected about mga 50 people to join in, pero umabot ng 200. And then the second event, together with Bug Bounty PH event na yun, umabot na ng mga 600 plus. Yun, so this was
second event, 600 attendees?
Oo, yung isa, Kasi ano yun sa YouTube, tapos international yung Bug Bounty na Bug Bounty PH yung second event. Doon, yung sa Knights of the Net, nasa 300 lang, pero nagpumasok na yung sa Bug Bounty na event, umabot na ng mga 600. Kaya si AJ ang host nung, kaya ang dami nag-attend.
Ang nice nga eh. Actually ako, parang since ata ako nag-join sa Knights of the Net since 2007. Tama ba?
Na. Parang ikaw na isa sa mga nauna yata eh.
Tapos ever since,
wala
spectator pa rin. Wala man lang na-contribute. So kaya mo ko ini-spotlight ngayon, no? Na
Kumawi. Hindi, yung na Sir J tour lang. Actually, nung naging open yung, kasi Sir J na-invite ko yata parang 2016 na yata eh. Basta parang kailan lang yun, di ba? Parang mga 2 years ago lang yata yun si Sir J eh. After nung nanonood ako nakaka-join na ako sa RootCon. Pero originally kasi talaga nung dati, mga mista, mga classmate ko sa PMA, yung mga military pa rin sila and some of them helping the military. So kami lang na una na buo na group na to. And then yan, nag-expand na siya.
Tama, kasi nakilala kita during yung Pix Pro ata yun, at saka yung mga nagtuturo ka rin dun sa military.
Sa Army, oo.
Oo. So, ayun.
Grade 4 pa lang, nasa Knights na siya. Grade 4. So, nauna pala si Renzon, 19 pa yun. Okay. So, ma'am, ano bang una natin activity?
Unang activity.
Ano bang gagawin natin dito? Magtukintuan na lang ba tayo?
Wala akong pinirepare ng program.
Wala akong pinirepare? Sige, di ko ito lang.
Actually, ang lang sana, agenda is somehow, kahit pa paano, kasi di ba in an organization, importante din na we know yung some of our members para magkakalanlan, and so we can strengthen our relationship as a group, and para makabuo rin tayo ng syempre our goals and direction kung paano ba talaga tayo mas makakatulong sa community, which is ang purpose naman siguro natin everyone is to give back to our community if we are all aligned. Oh, seryosong usapan na. So anyway, sige na, ano ba natin? I-introduce na natin yung first speaker.
Sino mo muna? Di ba si Renzon muna? Ayun, nasabi ko tuloy. yung ano mo natin, icebreaker natin.
Sige, go.
So Renzon, are you there?
Yes, sir. Nandito na.
So paano paano sila sasagot, no? Ay, pwede pala sila sumagot kasi sa YouTube, kita pala nila. Oo.
Kita ba?
Oo, kita nila.
Mobile app.
Yeah. Ganito, you take the Sir Renzon, nagpa-present ka na ba?
Yes.
Ayan. Wait lang. Ito pala ang issue natin. Mahuhuli yung mga nasa YouTube kasi may 40-second delay.
Hindi tayo kasama dapat.
So lahat naman dito sa sa main link, di tayo kasali sa game. Unless mag-join kayo sa out.
Mag-quit na lang kayo dito muna.
Pwede naman yun sa mobile din nila. Ayun nga.
Okay, so turn on
Pwede
your
mobile.
mobile.
Through browser. So pag sa browser, punta lang ng kahoot.it and then yung game pin natin is paki-enter lang, 6312832. Then we have 10 set of questions and for the prize, si Sir Dennis ang bahala, i-announce niya mamaya kung ano yung magiging price ng first, second, and third.
Ayun, meron pala tayong, parang masabi ko na rin, meron tayong gamer shirts. Kung nakita niyo yung gamer jersey na mga Team Liquid, ano ba yung mga team na yan? Yan. Na OG.
Ayan na.
OG. Okay. Meron tayong pinagawang ganong mga jersey. So, we'll be giving away 3 of that. Doon sa mga kasagot, yung top 3 nitong game ni Sir Renzon. And yung highest winner naman, top prize, will get a varsity tap from NextU. Diba? Saya. Yan na, start na. Ba't di ko nakikita?
Meron na tayong 21 players. So maghintay pa tayo ng mga 2 minutes para
hanggang ilan pwede maglaro, sir?
Hindi ko alam kung may limit to eh. Pero last time kasi 100 plus na-accommodate naman. So ayan.
Talaga? Alam ko 50 lang eh. Pag hindi umabot, sorry na lang.
Okay, so we do have 31 players. Siguro paabutin natin at least 50 bago natin i-start. So, hintay tayo ng mga 1 to 2 minutes pa.
May tanong ako, Sir Franz, ilan na ba yung nandyan sa YouTube natin? Nakita mo ba?
Meron na tayong 49 viewers.
Oh, nasa 100 na pala tayo. Let's go!
Dennis Trump nag-join na. Card of the link.
Sir Dean, ang link sa kahoot.it. Tapos ang number is 631-2832. Tawag na. Hindi pa na po number yun. 631-2832. Ayun. Nilagay na ni Sir Renzon sa chat. Salamat, Shopee.
So meron na tayong 41 players. 1 minute more and then i-start ko na yung mga questions. So basically generic questions lang to about security. Ayun.
I'm all about cybersecurity, ah.
So we do have 44 players now. Hotdog. MSF Venom.
Hindi na ako nasali ha.
Oo.
Lagi naman ako talo dyan.
Baka alam mo yung sagot eh.
Si Ivana, then. Okay, so wala na nag-join. I think okay na. Pwede ba tayo mag-proceed?
Okay, start na yan, sir.
Okay. So we do have 10 questions. Okay, number 1 question is, this is a Windows core process that normally used to dump credentials. RunDLL, WinLogon, LSAS, or LSSAS.exe. Okay. Okay, number 1 is Siako, Dennis Trump, and Kahoot. Next question.
Dennis Trump, ang galing mo.
WannaCry is a ransomware that attempts to exploit what kind of vulnerability? Is it XSS, SMB v1, or server message block, SQL injection, or Microsoft Office? Okay, so the answer is SMB v1. So, si Yako, okay, si Dennis Trump, naunguna. Next, si Kahoot, and third is si Cardo Dalisay. Next question, which is the third one. This is the event ID that generates every time an account was successfully logged on. Is it 4624, 4625, event ID 4652, or event ID 4642?
Tapos di daw nakakasagot yung nasa YouTube. Masyado daw delay.
Oh, okay, so the answer is 4624.
So yung mga sumali through Google Meet, hindi kayo pwedeng sumali sa game, ha? Huwag kayong sumali sa game. Dugi sila eh.
Hindi nagtatimes up daw. Pag yun nasa YouTube.
Oh, okay. So, may pagka-delay.
Meron bang, may option ba na ilalagay na lang din yung question sa, mobile app? Yung ipapakita na rin yung question.
I think meron, pero kasi naka-livestream tayo ngayon. Anyway, tuloy ka na, Dennis?
Meron ba? Meron bang app? O kailangan nila ng app? O pwede sila pumunta sa website ng Kahoot? May ganun ba?
Walang ganun. Hindi ata lalabas sa mobile app yung question. Talagang choices lang yung lalabas sa mobile app or sa may player side.
Okay.
So choices lang talaga.
Next? Good.
Tuloy mo lang.
Next. An application used to visualize Active Directory environment for certain attack path. So, Welcome, Slapshot, Kamikaze, or Bloodhound?
HTML.
So the answer is Bloodhound. So, created by the team of Harmjoy. So, si Dennis Trump pa din, yun ang una.
Lakas naman nun.
Next question.
Ang daya ng Dennis Trump na yan eh. Nandito sa loob ng ano yan eh. O, bawal ka. Huwag ka nang sumagot ha, Dennis Trump ha.
Okay. So,
mute mo muna to. I-mute mo muna.
Application tool to dump password. Okay, the answer is Mimikat. The very famous one. Dennis Trump pa din ang nangunguna. The second one is si Dean and then si Root _ ako. Next question. It is a kind of USB that can load and use keystroke injection. USB Rubber Ducky, Kingston, Samsung Hacking Tool, SanDisk Extreme Pro Mega Hacker. The answer is USB Rubber Ducky by Hack5. Dennis Trump pa din, the leading one. Then next is si Dean, and then next is si Root ako. 7th question, third to the last. Who is responsible for cybersecurity? Is it Dennis, government, developer, or everyone?
With Dennis.
May sumagot ng Dennis, dalawa.
Dennis.
But the answer is everyone.
Dennis.
Tanong.
Okay.
Hindi ko alam yun. Baka sasagot ko rin Dennis eh.
Second to the last question. This is a common tool used for analyzing packet capture or pickup. Is it Wireshrimp, Wireshark, Wiresnail, or Shark Tank?
Mali na pindot.
The answer is Wireshark. So yung Shark Tank, it's a movie, it's on Netflix. So, okay. Second to the last question, he's an American whistleblower who copied and leaked highly classified information from the National Security Agency. Is it Edward Cullen, Jay Turla, Atom, or Edward Snowden?
J na yan. Sure ako, J Turla.
Okay yung red.
May sumagot ng Edward Cullen. So si Edward Cullen is yung fiction movie character sa Twilight, Atom, and Jay Turla. So the answer is Edward Snowden.
Hindi ba si J yun? Hindi ako ah.
Hindi ko sure. Okay, last question. DNS works on what protocol? Is it TCP, UDP, it can be both, or I don't give it, AF? So the answer is, okay, ang dami nagkamali. So pwede siyang, so the answer is it can be both. Pwede siyang TCP, pwede siyang DNS. So normally DNS works at DNS protocol, but nagiging TCP siya kapag nagpa-perform ng DNS zone transfer.
No.
Okay, so ito na yung winners natin. Third place is si Root, ako. Second one is si Kahoot, and the first winner or the first place si Dennis Trump. So congratulations dun sa mga nanalo. Paki-contact lang si Sir Dennis kung sino kayo.
Okay, Sir Renzon.
Yep.
Ako si Dennis Trump, bali di ako kasali. So, yung
Hindi ka-
yung
saan
third
ka
place,
Bakit sumali
Hindi
ka?
ba place?
si Dean ang third place. Si Dean yung third place.
Kaya pala eh.
Second place is si Root ako. And yours place
Troll!
is si
May troll sa loob eh.
Walang niya ka, Atom.
Di, nasa loob ka ba? Eh, di, nasa loob ka rin eh.
Makikita naman yan sa ano mamaya, sa may results,
Oo.
dun sa may ano ni
Oh,
Renzon.
Okay,
so
sige.
ganito, so,
Mabuhay si Dennis Trump.
Sa listanis na rin, mamaya tatali namin yung score. Sa listanis, hanggang naman sa Kahoot lalabas yung listahan ng lahat ng sumagot eh.
Yes,
So, meron kayong mga prize sa akin. Pero ito pa, another thing that we will have at the end, siguro, I'll have one more question about dun sa talks. Magbato ako ng isang question about dun sa kung nakinig kayo sa talk ha. And then we'll give out another prize. Sa later that's open forum. Okay? 49th place, wala daw bang consolation prize? Siguro, kung magpunta tayo, bibigyan ka ng sticker para sa laptop, di ba? Ay, okay ba yun?
Okay, Sir
Sige,
Dennis.
basta.
So,
O, hindi ka kalimutan ha.
So, Sir
Renzon?
Dennis Trump is si AJ. So, ang pinaka first place natin is si Kahoot. Second one is si Root _ ako. And then the third place is si Dean.
Okay. Sige, congratulations. Ang gagawin natin ngayon, kasi nagreklamo yung mga nasa YouTube eh, delayed daw yung sa kanila eh. Delayed telecast daw eh. Ang daya daw ni ano eh. Ang daya daw ni Dennis Trump eh. Okay? At dahil dyan, ang mananalo ngayon ay ang pinakamababa. Pwede ba yun?
Nice, nice. Madami yun sila.
So ganito.
Nakuhula na lang daw sila eh.
Kasi mamaya, meron pa naman tayong mga event and maybe siguro gagawin ko is I'll stick to the YouTube naman. And total, mukhang may space pa tayo dito sa Zoom, no? Later siguro ibigay namin yung mga gustong sumali sa Zoom para makapag-send kayo ng ano, ng comments niyo or messages niyo. Okay? Alright. Sige, admit ko muna yung mga iba. Nag-admin kasi ako dito eh. Alright, sige. Sir Renzon, thank you very much. Pakitulungan mo naman sa pagtali ng mga winners natin. And then, kung kayo yung winner, and you're one of the top 5, okay? Sa top 5, pwedeng i-PM nyo na lang ako, either through Facebook or Messenger or through the group. You can also leave a message dun sa PSite. PIT. Napagalo ko tuloy. PIT Security Forum. Iba pa rin yung PSite. Sir Rolly pala yun. Baka si Sir Rolly ganyan ng prize. Di ba? Marami namang prize natin si Sir Rolly eh. Philippine IT Security Forums. PITSF. Okay? So, yan. And ubus yun ng stickers, edi pumunta kayo ng RootCon kasi paikot-ikot ako doon, mamimigay ako ng stickers. Okay? Thank you nga pala ulit sa ating mga major sponsor dyan. Alright? Okay, so Ma'am Kim, ano na ba? Ano susunod dito? Ma'am Kim? Nawala si Ma'am Kim.
Hello, hello.
Ayun.
Lang. So,
Ma'am Kim, ano na ba susunod?
ano na bang sunod? I-introduce na natin sila.
Oo. First speaker na tayo.
Wait lang ha, kodigo muna, wait lang.
Last time pala, may mga nanalo. Teka lang, dapat, di ba, binalik ni Atong yung price niya. Di dapat, ikaw din, Renzon, balik mo rin yung price mo.
Bakit?
Last time nanalo, RR. Sabi pagkatapos, si Sir Renzon pa ngayon, lurker, nag-join sa game ang galing. Kaya pala ang galing eh. May price ka sa akin. That time, hindi naman siya yung host. So may price na, and again, yung that time kasi meron tayong gifts from RootCon. So, may mga mousepad. So, marireceive niya yan. Tuloy ang RootCon for sure, di ba? Sir Raymond, Sir Jay. Tutuloy natin yan.
Yes, sir.
Nakamas
Game
na
na game.
natin. Oh, yun na. Sabi ni Sir Raymond. Okay, Ma'am Kim.
Okay. So, let's all welcome our first speaker. He is formerly with National Privacy Commission. Nakalimutan ko yung position, sorry. Chief something dati ng NPC. So, let's all welcome Dr. Rolando Lansigan. And he's gonna talk about understanding data privacy.
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening. Good evening,
Sir
everyone. And yeah, thank you, Sir Dennis, for inviting me over. And it's my third session with this group. Well, I find the group very interesting. Gusto ko yung informality ng mga discussion nyo for the past 2 sessions, no? And medyo cool lang, no? It's not a formal seminar type or discussion na ginagawa natin na witness natin normally sa mga sessions na pinupuntahan natin. Well, I was given by Master Dennis to discuss about the data privacy law. Kaya the bad thing about this session is that binigay niya sa akin is about 10 to 15 minutes only, no? So how can you discuss the entire data privacy law in 10 to 15 minutes? Normally, when I'm conducting training workshops, usually 1 week, 3 days yan, or parang kung awareness man lamang, it's a full 1 day. But for this evening, I'll be discussing the data privacy law in a nutshell. And mas maganda sana kung if I can discuss further some of your concerns about what the Data Privacy Act is all about, no? Mas maganda kasing i-discuss ito yung mga case scenario katulad nung diniscuss last week ni AJ. Maganda yung kanyang topic presented. Very particular tayo do sa case. But for this session tonight, didiscuss ko in a brief but concise manner what the Data Privacy Act is all about, no? The first slide is about the reasons why we need to protect the data. We need to protect data because we need to build trust and confidence to our organization. So what will happen kung ang ating organization ay hindi trusted when it comes to personal information? So definitely there will be no transaction, there will be no business. Second, it prevents risk. It prevents and mitigates risk. So if you keep corporate information, including personal data, confidential, it will lessen the risk of having this personal information to be breached. And lastly, it is required by law. So that means compliance with the Data Privacy Act is a legal requirement. So that means all organizations must comply with what is written in the Data Privacy Act of 2012. That is why whenever we discuss data privacy law, lagi ko tinatanong which is more valuable, data or money. Definitely, data is more valuable than money because if someone takes your money, that's all they have. Pero kung kinuha nila yung data, they may eventually take your money too. And that's why for this purpose, the National Privacy Commission, the Data Privacy Act of 2012 was enacted into law last 2012. No? So, sa mga lawyers, that is Republic Act 10173, otherwise known as the Data Privacy Act of 2012. It is an act protecting the fundamental human rights to privacy. So that means whenever we discuss about data privacy, this law applies in protecting the personal information of all the Filipino citizens. And also, for this purpose, the National Privacy Commission was formed. And it is a body mandated to administer and implement the Data Privacy Act of 2012, which has the following function: rulemaking, advisory, public education, compliance and monitoring. Yun yung sa ating MC kanina, I used to be the chief of the compliance and monitoring division of the National Privacy Commission. Investigation and complaints and enforcement. So in summary, ang National Privacy Commission is here as a quasi-judicial body, meaning we hear cases, we hear complaints, we investigate data breaches, and so on and so forth. And NPC has the power to recommend to the Department of Justice any results of its investigation. So, hindi yung NPC ang nagbibigay ng sanction, kundi recommendatory only to the Department of Justice for proper promulgation. That is why, because of this Data Privacy Act, nakoy din yung word na BOTPA. BOTPA stands for Because of the Privacy Act. Because of the Privacy Act, everything has changed, starting from collection, use, storage, or even transfer or disclosure of personal information, and last but not the least, the destruction and retention of data. So, maganda nga na-discuss last 2 weeks ago about yung potential data breach, pati in-exercise yung rights. One of the rights will be discussed also later, na which I think na exercise naman ating data subject, para malaman niya if yung the right to information, the right to access his personal data, po pwede, no? And because of the Data Privacy Act of 2012, na-conceptualize din yung konsepto, yung tagline na do not collect if you cannot protect. Because a lot of organizations now are collecting personal data, but the problem is, but the next question is, are they protecting this personal data? Kasi any violation of the law constitute a criminal liability. So if you collect any data, whether you're in a personal capacity or an organization that process personal data, the assumption here of the law is that you must be protecting this personal information. Kaya if you will not be able to protect the personal information, ang kalalabasan mo dyan, kasi sinasabi sa batas natin, violation of the law is a criminal liability. So what you can see on the screen is a prison tapos yung peso sign. That means if you violate the law, ang ibig sabihin niyan is that you will be held criminally liable, and the condition is and not or, pareho kang makukulong at pareho kang magbabayad ng pesos, no? So magkano yun? In the succeeding slide, I will be showing you how much, okay? So, what you can see on the screen are the potential penalties listed under the Data Privacy Act of 2012. So, the TBA section, the Punishable Act, kung from unauthorized processing, access due to negligence, improper disposal, up to any combination of acts, no? So, for example, there is an improper disposal on your part, and that personal information was used, no? Ginamit yung personal data for any unscrupulous or any unauthorized use of the personal information. Depende kung anong personally identifiable information yung na-violate niya, whether that is personal information or whether that is a sensitive personal data. So if you will look at the table, mas malaki yung criminal liability if the violation constitute a sensitive personal information. But in its general terms, any personally identifiable information constitute a criminal liability. So, for example, nagtapon ka lang sa basura ng isang papel that contains personal data, and this personal data was used, no, for whatever reason, nag-file ng complainant, no, if it's a sensitive personal information, that constitute 3 to 6 years imprisonment and not or 100,000 to 1 million pesos, no? So kung if you have enough time, di-discuss na natin examples of these punishable acts, no? But just the same, pinapakita dito sa table na to that ito yung possible potential penalties in the Data Privacy Act of 2012. Now, the law applies only to the processing of all personal information. So sinasabi ng iba, pag hindi ba personal information covered ba ng Data Privacy Act? Hindi siya covered ng Data Privacy Act for as long as hindi siya identifiable sa isang tao. Let's say, for example, yung birthday mo, is that identifiable to one person? Yes. Yung picture mo ba identifiable sa'yo? Yes. Is the CCTV camera can identify a person? Yes. So anything that has something to do with the personal data of any individual is covered by the Data Privacy Act of 2012. Now, the next slide gives us an idea of who are the Data Privacy Act actors, no? So let's start with the data subject. So data subject as defined by law, these are the individuals from whom we collect personal information. If you are a bank, school, hospital, restaurants, hotels, or even government, if you are collecting personal information from the individuals, these individuals are what we call the data subject. Okay? So, anything that has something to do with the person, ang tawag sa kanya sa ating batas ay data subject. The second one is the privacy administrator and implementer of the act, which is the National Privacy Commission. And the third are the organizations whom the collection of personal information is being done. Kaya lang, it's very important that I should emphasize these two organizations. Why? Because under our law, yung personal information controllers and personal information processors are two different entities, no, listed under the Data Privacy Act of 2012. Now, when we say personal information controllers, these are the direct controllers or has the custody and controls of the processing of personal data of data subjects or has contracts with the data subject. Excuse me. On the other hand, when we talk about personal information processor, these are organizations from whom, no, from whom the PIC or the controller outsource its function. Now, a very good example of this is yung mga fast food delivery natin, wherein pag denial natin, let's say, for example, 87,000, alam natin for a fact that we are ordering from Jollibee. But actually, the organization or the one taking our orders is not from Jollibee. It's a call center agent coming from a call center company. That call center company is what we call the processor, meaning Jollibee outsource the processing of ordering system through an external entity, which is what we call a personal information processor. Now, to have a comparative diagram between this PIC controller and PIP processor, the one that you can see on your left is the PIC. It collects personal data pertaining to the data subject, and the PIC ensure the information has been accurately detailed, archived, securely in accordance with the regulations. On the other hand, if the PIC outsources it to another organization, ang tawag doon ay PIP, it processes the data on behalf of the PIC. Then what you can see at the middle is that the law requires that if such exchange or if such contract exists between PIC to PIP, actually meron pa isa, PIC to PIC naman, parehong PIC, there should be an agreement. Agreement that says that there should be a data sharing agreement, either outsourcing agreement, whichever is applicable to this. So, hindi na po pwede yung time na you outsource the function of the PIC to a PIP pero wala kayong kontrata that says the security measures, how it is being done, or let's say, for example, even a consent was obtained. Kasi let's say, for example, if I'm the PIC and I process the personal information to another PIP, there should always be a consent. And more often than not, the data that we are processing are sensitive personal information. Now, 2 weeks ago, as I have mentioned, na-discuss din partly yung the rights of the data subject, the right to be informed, the right to object, the right to access, data portability, and so on and so forth. Now, ang sinasabi sa batas natin that you cannot take away these rights of the individuals or the data subjects to any person. So, ibig sabihin ng the right to be informed that when you process, when an organization process the personal information, dapat the data subject should have the full control over his personal data. Ibig sabihin dyan is that alam niya kung paano pinaproseso starting from the collection up to the destruction. The right to object refers to any individual who can object, no, for the collection of personal data. Let's say, for example, pumunta ka sa isang hotel at normally ang hotel, ang dami nilang kinukuwang personal data sa atin. You have the right to object, not to give, let's say, for example, your birthday, your telephone number, or even your email address, which has nothing to do with your intention to check in a particular hotel. Now, the right to access, ito yung in-exercise 2 weeks ago. Gusto niya makita kung ano yung data na tinatago ng isang organization, no? 2 weeks ago, and which I think na-address naman nung organization mentioned last time, na binigyan naman siya ng access. There are certain loopholes on that, pero what is the best thing about the report to us last time is that na-address yung concern ng data subject, which is a good manifestation that the data subject rights to access can be exercised in that particular organization. Next, the right to data portability refers to the transfer of personal data from one PIC to another PIC without anything that the data subject could fill up any form. So, pwede niyang request, oy, Bank A, can you transfer my data to Bank B? That is possible under the right to data portability. Now, the right to correct, something to do with the correction of your personal information, kaya lang there are some limitations of this law when it comes to correction. Hindi po pwede pumunta ka sa Philippine Statistics Authority para papalitan yung birthday mo, yung pangalan mo, or hindi ka pa pwede pumunta sa BIR just to correct the taxes or just to correct your TIN number. Right to correct, mostly applicable to private organizations, no? Depende kasi sa legal mandate ng government or private organizations if the right to rectify or correct can be exercised. Next, the right to file a complaint or damages goes hand in hand. Kung if you think that your data privacy rights has been violated, you have the right to file a complaint at NPC, and subsequently, you have the right to damages. Okay? The right to erasure or blocking refers to any data subject, no? Pwede mong yun yung sinasabi rin last 2 weeks ago, na you can ask for the erasure of your personal information, no? Well, of course, again, subject to the legal mandate of the organization. Hindi ka naman pwedeng pumunta sa SSS or GSIS and ask them to delete your personal information. But let's say, for example, you go to your former employers, pwedeng lahat sila, you can ask for the deletion of your personal data. That is kung wala kang any legal impediments for that particular organization. Last is transmissibility of rights. Transmissibility of rights in the Philippines is very unique because we're the only country na merong ganitong karapatan because as a data subject, transmissibility of rights refers to the transfer of the rights of the data subject from a dead person to his or her next of kin. So let's say, for example, namatay yung asawa mo, yung anak mo, kapatid, magulang, asawa, anak, you have the right to own their data, meaning ikaw na yung pwede magmay-ari ng data nila. Well, again, of course, since this is a law, subject to the presentation of existing papers that will justify na ikaw nga yung next of kin. Okay? Now, for us to be able to know what exactly what the law says when it comes to personally identifiable information, it is very appropriate for us to know ano ba yung sinasabi when it comes to personal information, sensitive personal information, or SPI, or even privileged information. So, hindi ko nababasahin dyan. So, mas focus, although lahat naman yan, if you violate the law, that constitute a criminal liability, pero if you will just focus your attention on the sensitive personal information or SPI, makikita ninyo that under the law, mas mabigat yung kaparusahan kung yan ang nagkaroon ng compromise. O let's say, nagkaroon ng data breach referring to the SPI. So not only this personally identifiable information, kasama din yung all government-issued IDs, no? So sa batas na sinasabi that all government-issued IDs are considered to be SPI, including all the items that you can see on your screen, bank and credit card numbers. These are financial transactions and financial numbers, website visited, materials downloaded, etc., etc. So if you will look at the table, yung previous slide, tsaka this slide, sinasabi sa batas that when you process SPI, there should always be a consent, no? So that is why that will lead me to my next slide, that all organizations must adhere to the data privacy principles, which includes, tatandaan natin, letter T, LP, transparency, legitimate purpose, and proportionality. So when we say transparency, dapat as a PIC or PIP, when you collect personal information, there should always be a consent, especially with SPI, and privacy notice should always be present, especially in your website, in the location of your offices, that whenever you will, kasi pag sinabi natin privacy notice, it is a promise that you give to your data subject that we are processing your personal data pero pinangangalagaan namin yung data mo. Then, second one is legitimate purpose must not be contrary to law, morals, and public policy. And the last data privacy principle is that it should be proportionate, meaning do not collect any excessive information. Katulad ng example ko sa hotel, pag nangolekta ka ng sobra, that is against the rule of proportionality. And sometimes organizations just collect personal data because of this mentality. Just in case we need it, this is what we always do. Take the case of hotels. Actually, hindi ko rin alam bakit nila kinukolekta yung birthday. Hindi ka naman papadala ng greetings or even birthday card. They're collecting your residence, hindi ka naman kinokontak nila. So in that aspect, if you want to test the proportionality, pwede rin kayong mag-file ng concern or complaint at the National Privacy Commission why these organizations are overly collecting this personal data. Next, at the bottom, you are violating the Data Privacy Act if you keep any data for longer than it is needed. Ito yung sinasabi ko that as private organizations, you should not be retaining personal information longer than it is necessary. So, in general, gobyerno lang ang pwedeng mag-store ng personal information natin for life, no? So, imagine kung wala kang birth certificate. Imagine kung wala kang record sa BIR. Imagine kung wala kang record sa CHED. Pero as private organizations, mas madalas, they should delete, no, or they should call this, kailangan i-destroy. They must destroy all the personal information kapag hindi na kailangan. Sinasabi nga that if you violate the Data Privacy Act, if you keep any personal information longer than it is necessary, so that means you are violating the Data Privacy Act. Now, as organizations, I'm sure most of the viewers now sa Facebook Live and also in our Google Meet, you are either your owner or part of the CISO or the DPO of your organization. What the National Privacy Commission is telling us, organizations, we must comply, no? So actually, na-justify naman yan ni Kim Chiu, dapat tayong mag-comply, no? Kapag, para at least, if we comply under the law, kasi there are several instances na bakit mas magandang compliant kaysa hindi compliant. Number one is that Kapag compliant ka, no, meaning yung lima na yan, DPO, PIAP, MPP, DP, BRP, in case a breach happens in your organization, ang treatment ni NPC dun is hindi siya gross negligence, no? Hindi siya gross negligent on the part of the organization. What if nagka-breach pero hindi ka compliant? That is gross negligence. And gross negligence under the law has a certain degree of criminal liability. Now, what the National Privacy Commission is asking all organizations, we must comply with these 5 pillars, no? So actually, for the 5 pillars, 5 lang yung tatandaan nyo na may 3 letra. It's the DPO, PIA, PMP, PDP, BRP. So, medyo matagal siyang i-explain. Medyo pag in-explain ko yan, we're doing this through workshop and write shops. Basta in general, ang sinasabi sa National Privacy Commission when it comes to the 5 pillars, you should commit to comply. You must appoint a data protection officer. You should know your risk. Ito yung iniiwasan natin, di ba? Magkaroon ng data breach, what are the risks, and it could only be addressed through the conduct of a privacy impact assessment. The third is be accountable. All organizations must have its privacy management program and privacy manual. Katulad ng dinidiscuss natin ninyo previously in the past 2 meetups, there should be a CISO, may security policy, same thing with the Data Privacy Act of 2012 under the 5 pillars of compliance. And fourth, demonstrate compliance, you must implement your privacy and data protection measures or the PDP. And lastly, you must be prepared for any breach. Regularly exercise your breach reporting procedure. Kasi ang sinasabi sa batas ng National Privacy Commission, based on the law, if there is a breach within an organization, it must be reported within 72 hours, no? 72 hours requires all organizations to report it to NPC, and the condition is and again, and at the same time, you must report it to the data subjects na nagkaroon ng breach. Now, next is what you can see on the screen is NPC Data Privacy Accountability and Compliance Framework. Ang iba, ang tawag dito ay, it is a bloated 5 pillars of compliance taken from the 5, naging 10 siya. But if you will look at all the items below, yan yung tinatawag na 32-point compliance checklist. Actually, what the National Privacy Commission has done, no, in terms of compliance, pinadali lang, no? Hindi ka kailangan mga pa kung ano yung kailangan mo. All you have to do is to comply for each item that you can see on your screen, no? Now, other requirements of the law, aside from the 5 pillars of compliance, is that you must have an annual breach drill. Na-mention ko na about the 72 hours notification to the NPC and to the data subjects. You should all there's also what we call the annual breach report, security clearances, privacy notice, and if ever you're sharing personal information to PIC, from PIC to PIC or PIC to PIP, there should always be a data sharing agreement or subcontracting agreement. Now, in order for us to properly protect all the personal information in our respective organizations, NPC has also suggested some technical, organizational, and physical security measures best practice. So, ito naman papasok kanina, we have the acronym for TLP, Transparency, Legitimate Purpose, and Proportionality. Now, for the implementation of the security measures, we have the OTP. It's not a one-time password. It's an organizational, technical, and physical, no, security measures. Well, of course, don't have to detail about this technical measures, no, for this group. You are more than you are experts on this field, no. But I just would like to emphasize that when it comes to encryption, there are acceptable standards set by the National Privacy Commission. For encryption, the acceptable standard for encryption set by NPC for encryption purposes, it's AES 256, no? AES 256. So, passwords, sharing of data, backup, access control, remote access, system testing, and maintenance. Now, for organizational and physical security measures, so, well, of course, yung mga identifying marks, yung mga removable and movable devices, katulad nga yung work from home ngayon natin sa Pilipinas, there are devices of the companies na nasa bahay na. So we should look also into the network or the security measures being adopted by the organization. And for building access control, CCTV plays an important part, no, to monitor yung mga activities within an organization, ID badges, remote working, and yun. One thing more about the Data Privacy Act, it's explicitly, or the IRR explicitly says that if you are disposing personal information, especially yung mga papel, hard copies, you must shred it, no? Shred it using a crisscross shredding machine o shredder. Hindi acceptable ng NPC yung shredder na mahaba, no? Yung parang pagka na-shred siya, parang maliliit, parang minsan parang alikabok na lang siya, no? So that's the proper way of disposing physical or hard copies, no? So for other organizational security measures, just like in your InfoSec, cybersecurity, and CISO function, there should be policies, procedures, guidance, and training. For the human resource, there should be explicit roles, no, when it comes to the handling of personal data, procurement, due diligence, etc., etc. Now, I think covered pa ako ng time, 10 to 15 minutes. So, top 5 key areas of Data Privacy Act. Kung ako tatanungin, we should focus on the following. Pag nangungulikta tayo ng data, there should always be a consent. Although sinasabi lang sa batas natin, if you are processing SPI, no, there should always be consent. Kaya yung kung makikita nyo yung mga schools ngayon, meron na silang tinatawag na consent, no? Hindi na pwede yung they collect personal information pero walang consent. Then, second is the rights of the data subjects must always be exercised, no? There should be no case that na hindi po pwede ma-exercise ng data subject even one of his rights. Then, third is the breach management. All organizations must implement their breach reporting process, may breach reporting team. At least kung nagkaroon ng breach, ano yung unang gagawin? Kasi most organizations now, especially nung nasa NPC pa ako, pag na-breach, wala na. Hindi nila alam gagawin. Even the security guards, finding it a hard time, ano gagawin ba ng security guard kung nagkaroon ng breach sa organization? More often than not, minsan yung mga press, yung mga media, pumupunta na kagad sa organization. And kung walang background, even the rank and file employees, wala silang, definitely, yung breach, na-be-breach pa rin. Kakaroon ng idea yung media and the press about these things. So, dapat well-aware lahat in terms of the breach process of an organization. Fourth is the profiling. Now, a lot of organizations are collecting personal information. Kaya lang, the sad thing about is the collection of this personal information when it comes to profiling. Pino-profile nila yung data subjects, but at the same time, ginagawa nilang target for their market, no? So, hindi dapat ganon. If you want to target them for marketing tools, for example, papadala mo ng special offers, special discounts kasi nakita mo the behavior of the data subject is into, let's say, for example, mahilig siya pumunta ng restaurants. So, minsan yung mga organization, pinapadala nila yon, no? So, profiling meaning, pwede lang siya under the Data Privacy Act if the profiling is used only for statistical purposes, no? Kasi, for example, gusto mo lang malaman ilan ng male, ilan ng female, ilan yung age bracket. But if you will use the profiling for the data subjects to be their target market, yun ang bawal under the Data Privacy Act. And lastly is, last of the top 5 key areas of Data Privacy Act is to comply para maiwasan natin yung gross negligence and gross negligence. Well, as an added feature of this talk, I included some principles of data protections vis-a-vis with cybersecurity. Sinasabi nga nila, the creation of DICT is a triumvirate of all laws in the Philippines na related. So the creation of DICT under Certain Republic Act, the Data Privacy Act of 2012, and the Cybercrime Act, Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012 also. So kung makikita ninyo, halos pareho sila no in terms of what is being required. So sa Data Privacy Act, sinasabi that the data must be fairly and lawfully processed. Processed for limited purposes, adequate, relevant, and not excessive, accurate, not kept longer than necessary, and processed in accordance with the data subject's rights, and it should be secure. Whereas on the other hand, when we talk about the Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012, sinasabi dyan that in summary, data should be confidential, maintain integrity, and available or availability of data or CIA. So that means etong Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012, kasama din yan sa Data Privacy Act of 2012. Pag na-compromise any of the following, confidentiality, integrity, or even availability of data, that is also punishable crime under the Data Privacy Act of 2012. So before I end, I would like to give this quotation that the compliance with the Data Privacy Act is not a one-shot initiative. Because a lot of organizations are complying. Minsan ang ginagawa nila dyan, natawag natin mga paper compliance. But actually, it's not the trust of the National Privacy Commission. So the compliance under the DPA, it is a discipline and culture that must be embedded on a continuous basis within an organization. That is why the National Privacy Commission is promoting the culture of privacy in the Philippines. And how do you promote the culture of privacy in the Philippines? Yun, babalik tayo doon sa the 5 pillars of compliance in order for us to promote the culture of privacy in the Philippines. Kasi part of the 5 pillars of compliance is you must conduct awareness to all your people within the organization. Okay? So that's all for my presentation under the Data Privacy Act. If you wish to communicate or ask something, I'm also conducting data certification on data, promote ko na rin, Sir Dennis, data certification on data protection officers, usually 3 days or even 5 days for PMAP, for TUV, and Global Knowledge. No? These are the 3 organizations for which I am affiliated as an official trainer for certification for data protection, certification for data protection officer, and also we are also have this program as data privacy auditors. Okay? Thank you very much and good evening.
Yun, thank you.
Pasensya na medyo mabilis.
Oh, parang medyo hinabol ni Sir yung hininga niya eh.
No, the part of 10 minutes.
Pagod ka din ah. Pagod ba, Sir?
Hindi, okay lang. Sarili ako. 1 week nga minsan yan eh.
Yan, sa mga gusto magpa-certify to become a DPO or ano pa man or just to learn or earn more knowledge, di ba, about data privacy. Go ahead and contact Doc Lansigan for more details. Alam mo, Sir Rolly, ang daming tanong. Sobrang dami.
Ngayon ko pala nakita ngayon ko pala yung chat box, pati Facebook Live, hindi ko pa nakikita. Actually, medyo siguro 10% pa lang yung napakita ko kasi mas maganda pag-usapan yung mga cases katulad yung 2 weeks ago, yung bawal by CCTV na ibigay sa NBI, pag may police na kumuha, pwede ba ibigay yung CCTV footages, pag may nag-request pa na personal data, ano ba yung legal at hindi pa pwedeng ibigay ng mga organizations. Depende, lalo na ngayong pandemic, di ba, yung mga schools, kung tested positive, pwede bang ibigay, pwede ba nila ito sa Facebook. Maraming pwedeng tayong pag-usapan when it comes to data privacy. Kaya lang, in the interest of time, at very limited din yung time ko. Okay?
So dito, Sir Rolly, no, if pwede, maybe you want to browse through the chat box, both the YouTube live, tsaka sa actually, if you can try answering doon. Tapos sabi ko later nga, meron tayong open forum din. So baka kung may time pa, yan, willing naman si Sir Rolly to answer your questions. Okay, so Ma'am Kim, ano na ba susunod? Tapos na tayo sa oras, naghahabol tayo ngayon.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rolando, for that very informative
Thank you.
Talk about the data privacy. So ngayon at least kahit paano naintindihan na natin na public or private sectors or organizations must really comply with how they manage our PIIs or personal identifier information. So thank you for that, sir. And next, let's introduce our wait lang, open lang ang audio. Let's introduce our next speaker. It's he is an all-time acquaintance of mine also. Way back 3 years ago, si Master Eric Reyata. He will be talking about practical OPSEC with QubeOS.
Woo! Yeah!
Hello? Hello guys. Makinig nyo?
Loud and clear.
Oh, okay, cool.
Ang ganda ng
Start na tayo.
boses. Ang gwapo ba sa personal?
Namiss ko nga eh.
Start na tayo. Eto. Wait. Tignan na screen ko. Hello?
Negative.
Present. Nasa baba. Press mo yun.
Ayan.
Ayan na.
Yan. Go Eric! Go Eric!
Okay, so wala nang intro. Diretso na tayo. So, yung topic ko is Practical OPSEC with QubeOS. So, kung nakinig kayo kanina kay Sir Rolando, if you listen to that, pwede kayo maging DPO. Eto, pag nakinig kayo dito, pwede kayo maging DPA naman. Deep Penetration Agent. So,
Galing.
so we are, siguro familiar tayo if you're seeing my next slide. So it's like a common setup among, well, security pips to have some sort of this kind of setup, yung para secure setup. So mostly, compartmentalize natin yung ginagawa natin through the use of virtualization technology. So VMware, VirtualBox, or whatever virtualization technology na ginagamit natin. So kumbaga, meron tayong dedicated VMs for each task na ginagawa natin. Say for example, we have a Kali VM for penetration testing, and meron tayo halimbawa na VMs for analyzing malicious software, or kunyari may suspicious file na hindi natin alam kung ano ginagawa niya. So doon natin ino-open sa sinatawag natin na sandbox natin. So it's quite common setup for security, or yeah. Pero si QubeOS is similar. So, ano ba si QubeOS? So, basically, ano siya, not necessarily a distro, but it's like a type 1 hypervisor. So, it leverages CERT-based virtualization. So, basically, yung core OS niya is based on Fedora. So, it's implement security through compartmentalization. So katulad niya nung pinakita ko na previous slide. So dito ginagawa niya yung mga VMs, it's being called cubes or domains. So ito yung ano niya, architecture. So basically you have your Zen hypervisor, and then you have several app VMs. So app VMs, so nandito, kumbaga, you can have multiple instances, for example, ng browser nyo or email client nyo. And then those are actually separate environments. Yeah, VMs nga actually. So wala silang, kumbaga, totally separate na instance sila running on its own machine. So walang, hindi posible na yung attacks like getting yung memory contents ng isang application, so you can prevent those kind of attacks. It's also good to note here, kung nakikita niyo yung slide na dito sa part na dulo, as of its latest release, yung 4.0.3, yung DOM 0 niya or yung domain 0, the main administration domain, kasama niya pa rin yung UI niya or yung nagpa-process ng display niya, yung X server niya. In future releases, they say it's under development at the moment. Ihiwalay nila, so yung GUI niya will be on a different separate machine. So si QubeOS basically is lahat ng, so yun nga, main controller niya is yung DOM 0. Yung mga devices, for example, yung network devices natin, USB devices, they are being proxied to another VM. So walang direktang connection dun kay DOM 0. So kumbaga si DOM 0, siya yung pinaka secure dapat. Wala siya actually access sa outside. Wala siyang network connection by default. And you're not supposed to like mess around with the DOM0 kasi yun nga, lahat, once na na-compromise yung DOM0, so mako-compromise na yung buong system. So yun yung tiniprevent niya, kaya totally isolated siya. So this is a sample screenshot. Wait natin, makita nyo na ba? So in this screenshot, so mamaya I'll try to have a demo. Medyo ghetto yung demo ko kasi ghetto yung setup. So I'll use a camera to project yung screen ng isa kong installation ng QubeOS. Simply because I cannot share the whole screen of DOM of QubeOS kasi nga part yun ng security niya. Kung pwede ako mag-share ng screen kay QubeOS, ang mangyayari is yung screen lang ng app VM na kung nasaan yung Google Meets ngayon. So that's quite impossible with my current setup. So better sana if I have an HDMI capture device, but unfortunately I don't have one. So mamaya medyo ghetto yung setup natin for the demo. So kung napansin nyo dito sa screenshot na to, we have several apps. So dalawang browser and isang word processor. Kung napansin nyo, yung borders nila magkakaiba ng kulay. So one is work, yung isa ay green, that is for the work domain. Yung red is for untrusted domain, and etong isang yellow one is called work web. So these are all ano naman siya lahat. Mako-customize mo naman lahat. So this is just an example of simple workflow using QubeOS. So ito yon, related pa rin dun sa window borders. So di ba, if you're familiar with Linux, so basically yung display natin is being displayed dun sa X server. So si X server in this case is running on DOM0. So yung lahat ng VMs natin is actually throwing its display to DOM0. Kung familiar kayo dun sa kaninang setup na sinabi ko, na where we have several VMs, say we're using VirtualBox or VMware. So di ba switching between our VMs medyo hindi siya convenient. So ang ginawa ni QubeOS is meron siya mechanism where lahat ng Windows is kumbaga seamlessly integrated dun kay DOM0. To identify nga lang yung mga Windows kung sinong VM ang nagra-run ng window na yon, nilalagyan niya ng custom na border na which they call labels, which I'll try to demo again later. So ito yon, still related to that. Sa previous images na pinakita ko sa inyo, ito yung levels of trust is defined by colors. Kung napansin nyo dito sa bandang baba. So meron tayong safe and ultimately trusted, yun yung color black. And then yung sa kabilang side naman is yung red, yun yung unsafe and untrusted. So ito yung kumbaga default convention niya, pero customizable naman siya kung ano yung sa palagay mo makes more sense for you, so you can do it as well. Also, so kung napansin nyo dito, yung hypervisor saka yung DOM0, ito basically itong send hypervisor and admin VM. So they are colored black. So it's a separate, those are separate VMs. Yung GUI VM natin, which is right now kasama pa rin na itong dalawa, pero in the future nga yung GUI VM is separate. So blue daw siya. And then yung templates natin is blue as well. So and then app VMs natin, itong app VM1 for example is yellow. So ano nga lang to, convention. And then for example, this one app VM2 is the both VM. So both VM available siya by default install. So basically, it's a VM na walang connection to anything. So it's good to store your, sabihin natin, your SSH keys, your password databases. So you can store dito sa VM na to. So wala siyang connection, but still you can access it through yung usual interface niya. And then, also, yeah, eto dito, napansin nyo, meron siyang sysunix VM, which you can use to access the Onion network or Tor. So yeah, easy access to the deep web or dark web. Pero yun nga, isa sa feature niya yun. So also provides privacy and yun nga, security. Parang kino-compartmentalize mo nga yung lahat nung activities mo, digital activities mo. So also, it's good to note here yung mga template VMs. So ano ba yung template VM? So basically, itong mga app VMs na to, they are all based sa template VMs. So template VMs, so di ba kanina sinabi ko na based siya sa Fedora, but it's not, ang base lang actually sa Fedora is yung admin VM natin. But you have the option, if you, by default, you also have Fedora and Debian. So yung usual VMs mo, yung app VMs mo could be Debian as well. Also, yung by default, there's Unix, which is for, yun nga, for privacy purposes. So you can also have this Unix distro built-in din siya sa kanya, both the gateway and the client or the workstation of Unix. Also, you can add your own templates kasama yung Windows 7 supported niya na fully integrated. And then there are also community developed templates na ibang distro, like if you're into Arch Linux or any other distro na gusto nyo gamitin na mas comfortable kayo for your daily use. So pwede nyo gamitin yon for your templates. So basically, yung mga app VMs nga is, kumbaga, di ba sa VirtualBox or VMware, meron kang pag-clone ng VM. So basically, itong mga app VMs mo, parang link clone siya. So yung changes lang is mangyayari dun sa link clone mo, not hindi dun sa main VM mo. So same dito sa template. So in theory, yung template VMs mo are immutable VM. So kahit mag-install ka, kunyari nasa app VM1 ka, nag-sudo apt-get install whatever ka, hindi, pag-reboot mo, mawawala yon kasi hindi siya magpe-persist dun sa template VMs natin. So, features, strong isolation. So yun nga, per VM, wala siyang kinalaman sa ibang VM. Discuss na rin natin yung template system, multiple OS, yun nga, pwede Windows OS. And then, yun nga, also you can have yung tinatawag natin na parang hardware VMs, which is parang full VM siya, hindi siya fully integrated dun sa system mo, but you can run, it's like you're running QEMU, totally standalone na VM siya, so you can install Windows 10 or whatever OS na kunyari supporting x86 architecture. So also, good to note here yung disposable VMs. So, ano naman si disposable VM? So same concept din siya nung mga app VMs. Ang kaibahan lang niya, if you say that this VM is a disposable VM, once na nag-start ka ng instance niya, mag-create siya actually, magko-clone siya ng another instance niya na during its runtime lang siya nag-live. Once na kunyari, sabihin natin Google Chrome, nag-open ka to a disposable VM, once na sinutdown mo yung, or kinlose mo yung Chrome mo, yung buong VM na yon magdi-disintegrate na, mawawala na siya. So, no traces at all. So, that's also one use case na magandang gamitin tong QubeOS. So, miscellaneous tools. So, mamaya, I'll try to demo this things that I'm discussing here. So, data persistence. So, paano ba tayo magkopya? So, basically, sabi ko nga kanina, yung secure setup, kaya ako pinakita. So, marami tayo na nakaganon na setup multiple VMs. Pero ano ba yung mga hassle nun? One, for example, is moving data around, di ba? Paano ka magkopya ng file to another VM? So, those kind of things, na-address siya ng mga tools built-in with QubeOS. Another thing is clipboard sharing na secure way. So, basically, di ba, sa mga VM, sa mga virtualization technology natin, may clipboard sharing din, pero pwede siyang attack vector pa rin, di ba? So, medyo may solution dun si Cubes. It's not very convenient, pero it works. So, parang kailangan mo lang na medyo masanay on how to use it. And then, of course, yun nga, file sharing and data persistence. So, networking. So, by default, so I'll try to show this rin mamaya. So, by default, ganito yung setup. Yung NetVM natin handles our devices. So, kunyari may Wi-Fi card ka and Ethernet card. So, yung NetVM ang mag-handle lahat nun. And then, it would yung connection natin will be handled by yung sys firewall natin, and then yung ating mga app VMs will be connected to that firewall. So yan yung default configuration. Pero yun nga, pwede pa natin siya ma-customize. So another example is this one. You can have separate or you can have 2 firewall VMs and then separate net VMs. So kunyari, may USB device ka na gusto mong a USB Wi-Fi device na gusto mo connected lang dito. So basically you can customize your setup kung ano yung requirement mo. And also yung Vault VM natin is by default not connected to anything. And yeah, ito medyo mas advanced. So yung example ko na ginagamit, mamaya papakita ko yung setup ko. Wait. So yung ang ginagawa ko usually is meron akong firewall VM and then Tor VM and then another VPN provider before yung mga VMs ko that I use for say for research, for example, para hindi traceable sa atin or attributable sa atin yung ginagawa natin or yung activities natin. So ano yung mga limitations naman niya or caveats? So yan, isa is presentations is always a pain kahit live presentation. So but yeah, masasanay ka din, or sometimes you just have to hand out your slide to someone and let them do the presentation kasi medyo yun niya, hassle yung implementation niya nung sa display. Then hardware requirements, so this yung nasa site nila na parang minimum requirements is 4 gig of RAM. So you can run it with 4 gig of RAM, but to be able to run yung mga app VMs natin, so isipin nyo kung gaano kadami yung app VMs nyo, so dedicate at least 2 gig or to 4 gig of RAM. So kada application natin runs on a separate instance of a VM. So yun nga, medyo matakaw siya sa RAM. So right now I'm running it. Siguro 16 gigs of RAM is enough. Tapos learning curve, so medyo may steep learning curve siya, pero if you're familiar with Linux, so medyo madali na rin siya. Tapos limited customization, so far by default naka XFCE siya, yung ano niya, environment niya, but I have success with KDE Plasma as well and i3WM, pero medyo limited pa rin siya kasi lahat ng customizations nga for look and feel will happen dun sa DOM0, which is not recommended. And then device support for mic, USB, and PCI. So yun nga, medyo sometimes flaky siya. And then yung recommended nila na setup is meron kang sys USB or VM which handles your USB connection, pero that is not possible if you're using a USB keyboard or mouse. So installation pa lang, hindi ka na makakapuloy. So that's quite a hassle. Pero may option naman to totally ignore yung sys USB. So directly connected ka sa DOM0, which is mas mataas yung attack surface mo ngayon. And another thing is in terms of kunyari yung mga Wi-Fi adapters. So ngayon yung setup ko is I have sysnet handling both USB connections and Wi-Fi and network connections kasi medyo nagka-problema ako pagdating sa external adapters. But yun nga, another requirement pala nito is kailangan capable yung CPU natin ng pass-through, device pass-through. So I'm not sure actually what, I can't recall the technology, pero yan, kailangan enabled yung device pass-through para mag-run yung cubes as of yung latest release nila. Pero yung lumang version nila, yung 3.2, you can run it kahit wala yung feature na yon. So sad to say also, hindi nyo pwedeng ma-run si cubes on another, yon, wala siyang nested virtualization support. So hindi mo siya pwedeng i-run sa VMware or under VirtualBox, say for example for testing. You can't do that with the latest version. Yung older versions ang alam ko pwede. Also, when you're running cubes, you can run VMware for example or VirtualBox inside your VMs. So isa yon, pero yun nga, medyo marami pa siyang So you have to check if it fits yung workflow nyo. So isa yun. And right now I'm having problems, for example, with Android devices, yung ADB access. So hindi ko ma-pass through yung phone ko papunta dun sa app VM, though nakikita siya dun sa DOM0. There should be workarounds, pero yun nga, I haven't got into it. So I've been using this for a little over a year, I think, pero yun nga, medyo marami pa rin siyang kumbaga rough edges na dapat i-polish. So let's move dun sa sabi ko na ghetto setup. So kita nyo ba?
Yes.
So yan, ito yung ano ko, isa kong installation ng QubeOS. So kung napansin nyo dito, I have 3 windows. So one window is, ito is, kung napansin nyo, green. And then this one is untrusted is red. And then this one blue is for my work labs. So say, copying files. So meron siyang utility na ganito. So pwede mong, for example, this file, I want to copy here dito sa personal. So these are totally different VMs. So gusto kong i-copy to, so I'll just say copy or move, and then I'll type yung, or yeah, sabihin natin na gusto ko siyang ilagay sa personal. Kung napansin nyo, nagkaroon dito ng cubes incoming. So ito na siya, nandito siya. So yung kinopya ko na file from here, napunta na siya dito sa untrusted VM ko. And then, wait. Clipboard naman. So, ito, copying text. So, by default, pag nag-copy ka, so these are 2 different app VMs. So, ito is yung work labs ko and this is yung personal ko. So, kunyari, gusto ko mag-copy ng text. So, pag nag-copy ako and then I paste here, so, and nasa clipboard na pala siya kaagad. Wait, kasi ginawit ko siya kanina. Control-C. Wait. Okay. So ito. Pag kinopya ko siya dito and I try to paste here, so hindi siya magkokopya kasi yung laman ng clipboard nito is magkaiba. So may utility siya which copy natin itong the quick brown fox, the lazy dog. Pag copy natin dito, we press Control Shift C, and then notice this notification na sinasabi niya na yung kinopya natin from this VM is being copied to the global clipboard, sa Cube's clipboard natin. And then, pupunta natin doon sa VM, target VM natin, so you press similarly, Control Shift V naman, and then pag finish natin, so yun, may notification ulit na kinuha naman natin from Cube's clipboard, and then pag finish natin, so yun, nandito na yung text natin. So kumbaga, parang may proxy tayo, yun nga, yung domain 0, dun muna pupunta yung text before natin ma-paste dun sa kabilang VM. So, lesser chance na ma-hijack yung clipboard natin in that manner. And then, eto, I'll also show you this, yung Windows, pwedeng mag-run yung Windows. If napansin nyo dito, seamless yung integration ni Windows. This is just a window na running actually sa Windows VM natin. So this is on Windows as well. And then this is my untrusted file manager. So may option ka na ganun. And then, of course, so ito yon temp office actually siya. So may tinatawag siya na seamless mode. So disable natin. Oh, hindi siya disable. Oh, disable. Okay, so na-disable ko na yung seamless mode, so nawala yung Windows, yung mga Windows natin, yung Notepad, pero actually it's still running on the VM. So ito yung VM natin. So in this case, there's a setting para magawa mo na full screen, pero by default, walang pwedeng mag full screen na application. So ibig sabihin wala totaling dapat maka-hijack nung buong display natin. So yun yung konsepto niya. So this is a Windows VM na nagra-run dun sa cubes natin. So I'll just shut this down. And then, pakita ko sa inyo yung iba't ibang tools na kasama ni QubeOS. So, meron tayong itong DOM Cube Manager. So, makita natin lahat dito yung domains natin. So, sabihin natin, yan, lahat ng running domains natin. In this case, yung DOM0 is always running. And then, may option ka na i-run automatically yung mga VMs. Pero usually, I just start with DOM0 para mag-boot lang. And then, meron kasi akong script. Itong setup ko ngayon na dinidemo sa inyo, this is actually running on a USB drive. So, para medyo portable siya. So, I can move it around different systems. The thing is, syempre, yung sysnet natin is nag-expect siya for certain devices. Yung, kunyari, yung network device natin, yung wireless. So, once na niran mo siya automatically, mas malaki yung chance na mag-crash if yung device na nag-run yung portable setup natin is wala din yung device. So, I created a script actually for that to choose kung anong device. So, later, ayan, ito yun. Ito yung script na yun. So, itong mga QubeVM PCI, mga utilities yan ni Cubes to make things easier for us to do yan, pag-attach at pag-detach ng mga devices. And then, aside from Cubes Manager, so, a lot of things na pwede niyong gawin dito kay Cubes Manager. So, sabihin natin itong Anon Unix natin. So, you can actually change yung kulay niya. So, gusto mong gawing orange. So, dito masiset natin yung system settings natin, maximum RAM, yung disk space na gusto natin i-allocate. Mapapalitan natin lahat dito kay Cube Manager. And then, meron din siyang itong template manager. So, basically, pwedeng sabay-sabay mong i-select yung domain and then gusto mong palitan halimbawa yung template VM niya, so you can do it from here. This is a newer utility na hindi present sa mga previous releases nila, I think. And then, meron tayong Cubes backup. So, pwede natin i-backup lahat ng cubes natin in one go. Medyo matagal, syempre. But yeah, you can, or selectively just backup stuff you want. So, you can do that as well. May backup utility siya. This is GUI only. Yung kaninang pinakita ko na Cubes Manager, you can do most of the things na ginagawa niyo sa Cube Manager through command line as well. So, pwede niyo siyang i-script kung gusto niyo. And then, this one is yung restore. Pag-restore naman ng backup. And then, yeah, may updater din tayo. So, automatically, check niya yung mga machines natin and then, titingnan niya if may mga updates na. And then, yun niya, may proxy siya which, for example, si Domain 0, di ba, sabi ko kanina, wala siyang direct connection to the internet. So, basically, may proxy siya na nag-check sa internet if merong update na, and then this update manager will notify you if may updates na nabago for DOM0, for example, or any other VM. And then, makakapag-update na tayo through this updater. And yeah, ito pa yung ibang utilities ni Cubes. Medyo madami siya. So, you can use for scripting, halimbawa, pag-automate pag-manage ng mga VMs natin. So, sabi ko nga, lahat ng pwede natin gawin kay Cubes Manager, pwede natin gawin dito sa command line as well. So, pag-set ng preferences, pag-list ng mga running VMs, pag-shutdown, pag-open. So, you can do that here as well. And, ano pa? Okay, yung sa networking, yung sinabi ko sa inyo kanina. So, for example, I have this VM I call Ubuntu OSINT. So, nakakonect siya kay VPN Raw. So, this is another VM na nag-handle nga ng internet connection na naka-VPN siya. So, yan. And then similarly, yung VPN Raw na yun is also using sysvunix. So, kumbaga naka-tunnel siya from Ubuntu OSINT, gagamitin niya si VPN Raw, and then si VPN Raw gagamitin niya itong si sysvunix. Si sysvunix, on the other hand, is using yung sysfirewall natin. So medyo naka-daisy chain na yung connection natin. So, I won't demo it, pero yan, pinakita ko lang yung settings niya. So, pwede natin gawin yung advanced network settings. So, yun lang siguro. There's still a lot of development going on with Cubes, and yun nga, marami pang pwedeng i-explore sa kanya and depende sa use case natin. But there's a lot of interesting things that we can do na medyo, yun nga, pwede nating i-leverage si Cubes for our security. So, any questions? Tapos na po, yun na po yun.
Okay, maraming salamat. Sir Eric, yung mga questions, ilalagay na lang mo nila sa chat. Okay? And tapos basahin mo doon, and then if you can reply right away, then go ahead. And then later naman meron din tayong open forum sa end. So, kasi we need to take some time to look at all the other speakers. Pakinggan din natin marami pa tayong speaker na naka-line up eh. Okay? Kita mo, nag-ring yung sa screen mo, yun yung alarm eh. Ibig sabihin, lumagpas ka na ng 5 minutes actually. Okay. So, thank you, Sir Eric. Meron pala, isang mabilis na tanong. Mas mura daw ba yan, ang Cube ba? Sabi mo, practical eh. O yun
mas
ba isang mas mura ba siya to implement?
Kumpara kay? Well, there are other... Actually, we have several options naman. So for example, for privacy, meron 'di ba tayong yung Tails OS na yun, parang yun yung konsepto ng disposable VM kasi live lang siya, and then once na turn off mo na siya, so basically wala kang traces na maiiwan. And then dun sa OS, so may ganung feature nga, kumbaga kombinasyon siya ng mga ng mga different security implementation. So yung isa ko halimbawang setup before is gumagamit ako ng pfSense for my gateway, or kunyari as a Tor gateway as well. Siya yung magre-redirect kay Tor, or yun nga, isa ring example is si Tor browser for example to access onion sites. You can use Tor browser. So ang konsepto ni Cubes is lahat ng yon is in-integrate niya into a single operating system na kumbaga conveniently din lahat ng ginagawa natin is nasa isa lang na display, di ba?
Kaya siya mas practical. Kaya siya naging mas more practical kasi parang mas less yung administration mo sa maraming iba-ibang systems na kailangan mo i-set up.
Isa yun, oo. Tapos yun nga, parang depende nga sa depende sa use case mo. So kunyari, nagpe-pentest ka, pwede kang gawin mo for each client, mag-set up ka ng app VM mo na gagamitin mo sa kanya. So this is and then separate na tunnel for that particular client. So kumbaga totally separate yung ginagawa mo dito sa isang setup mo na to compared dito sa isang client mo na to. So kumbaga separate, repeatable yung setup mo, and then yun nga, kailangan mo establish kasi yung workflow mo, and medyo in the long run, mas madali siya kumpara dun sa pag-maintain halimbawa ng multiple VMs.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sir Eric, may mga questions dun sa YouTube.
Sige, try.
Paki-try na lang sagutin. Sir Franz, ikaw na lang mag-forward dito sa chat sa Google, okay? Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Sige po. Salamat.
Salamat.
Thank you, Master Eric, for the walkthrough for the practical operational security. So next naman, introduce natin our next speaker. Mag-skip tayo ng isa since wala pa daw ata si Alan Nayeras. So next, let's introduce our next speaker. He will be sharing about the attacks on IT authentication vulnerabilities. Let's all welcome Mr. James Maquilang.
Pilang po.
Sir, sa baba.
So, i-share ko muna yung screen ko. Entire ko na lang para madiretso. Okay, so kita ba? Hello?
Kita namin buong server room nyo.
Kita. Okay, so good evening everyone. So, my topic is all about the common issues sa IT na nagli-lead sa mga security risk ng password issues at saka mga vulnerabilities. So, welcome to my topic, Zero Cool, Massive Attack on IT Authentication and Vulnerability. So, mamaya, I will be presenting a demo kung paano ko i-hack massively kung makukuha ko yung mga private keys. So to start, I would like to introduce properly myself. My name is Eskie Cyrus James Maquilang. So ang haba. I've been in IT field for 10 years. Now I'm a chief and also a hacker. A Catholic, of course. And by the way, I'm in Renzon. So Renzon, mga taga Renzon dyan, shout out. Also special thanks to Kalasag, to the Knights of the Net, then RootCon. So disclaimer, so ang ikikwento ko today is more on fictional. This is all about educational purposes lang. Baka kasi mabalikan tayo dito. To start, usually we have different insights on how a massive attack occurs. So I believe in my presentation, I am thinking na meron tayo dito sa isang issue, source ng issue, which is the IT, and the next is the authentication and vulnerability. I'm not blaming the IT, of course. I'm an IT also, but the impact of the with regards to the impact, but I'm telling you na hindi lang tayo ang may kasalanan to. We have some external entities na nagko-contribute sa issues. We have this corporate best practice in handling IT, which is, IT can fix everything. When IT is called information technology, sa aming mga Bisaya, IT means imutanan. So, uutusan ka lahat, pati hindi lang magalaw yung mouse, tatawagin ka, hindi naka-on yung computer, tatawagin, hindi lang pala nakasaksak, blah, blah, blah. So, literally, ganun yung trabaho namin. But sometimes, the management thinks na yung IT kasi nila is enough na kasi kaya na lahat gawin eh. But literally, tayong lahat burn out na sa ganyang sistema. Tapos, we are just doing stuff in our own convenience na nagsasacrifice ng ating mga security. Another best practice is kung hindi na tayo malapitan ng mga clients natin because we are irritated sa mga concerns nila, balik-balik. They also disturbing programmers as well sa pag-troubleshoot ng issues. So kung meron tayong mga in-house developer, we have this feeling na nandito na tayo sa climax, nagpo-program tayo, then suddenly, tinawag ka. So you stop your work, tinawag ka to fix printer, hindi lang nakasaksak or whatever. Diyan nagde-delay yung progress ng developer. So another extra time to review the code, double check the logic, kalimutan yung momentum. So sometimes we are intended to fix security issues pero maiwanan na lang natin because of that. Another thing is with regards to budget, we believe na meron naman tayong mga budget. Pero sometimes we have issues on that. Kung tayo ay capable to build stuff, advantages yun sa company natin. We save lots of money kasi kaya nating gumawa ng servers. So, especially if we knew how to build email servers, then magandang halimbawa yun. However, in the next few days, pag nagawa mo na yung server mo, ikaw rin yung magme-maintain nun. Most probably, ganun yung nangyayari. So, okay lang yun kasi isa lang yun. Or how about kaya mo rin gumawa ng firewalls, diba, ng mga websites, magtayo ng database server. Maganda pa rin yun sa kumpanya kasi cost effective ka. Pero in security, we have this so-called point of failure. We understand that thing na katulad ng number 2, paano na lang kung na-burnout ka na, mag-resign ka, so sino ang mag-maintain nun? Ikaw lang lahat ang may alam. So ang nangyari doon is nakakaproblema na ang institution because of that. So this is just in IT. So meron pa yung mga issues regarding sa security when it comes to that. So yung budget natin mostly kadalasan kasi ang budget is just a number. Usually yung approval niyan matagal. So kaysa bumili ng firewall, tayo na lang gagawa kasi matagal. Pero sometimes nadidelay yan, nadidisapprove. Minsan wala lang, mawawala lang sa ere. So tayo as IT, na-frustrate tayo, obsolete na yung knowledge, hindi pa tayo natitrain. So we just accept our fate. So adding to those issues mentioned, palagi tayo makakarinig na maraming mga tools dyan to help us in our job. But on our current workload, napakabigat na. So, as traditional ITs, we are doomed to be obsolete kasi we are practicing servers pa nga, ganyan. We stay legacy other than imamigrate natin yung system natin sa new technologies. So, we know we have lots of frustrations with regards to these best practices ng mga company, but ganun talaga, palagi talaga yan. Still, this failure is not ours to bear. If IT is part of the business, corporate business strategy, then this issue, I believe, will be minimized. But also, for the better sa company para maka-adapt sa new norm. So, thanks to the COVID, natitest yung mga BCP natin. Sometimes, this issue I've discussed is, on my previous slides, nagiging benefit yan sa mga attackers. So, which I suggest, please take note sa mga bagay dito kasi pwede nyo malagay sa recommendations nyo to improve your policies, processes, and procedures. So, we sometimes fail to see the following security risk. Ito, number 1. We are using default passwords. So, nakakalimutan natin palitan. We shared password. So, tayo as IT or sa security, yabang tayo dito, sasabihin natin, oy, kayo mga user, bawal mag-share ng password. Pero tayo pala yung nag-share ng password. We also shared private keys. Recycled password, mga password natin nung unang employment pa natin, ginagamit pa natin. Compromised password. Alam na natin compromise yung password. 1 million times na yun nagamit, na compromise, ginagamit pa rin. All in one. Sa isang server natin, lahat isa lang yung password. So, also, we fail to patch up. So, pag wala tayong budget, wala tayong pambili ng patch management servers, hindi tayo nakaka-update ng mga systems natin in terms of vulnerabilities. Open source, okay naman, pero highly maintenance naman siya. We failed to review logs. We failed to review our codes. We failed to fix bugs. We failed to fix minor security concerns. So as developer, issue natin dito is, kung hindi natin to nakita earlier, on our application soon, mai-inherit to. Kung ano yung problema sa una mong program, ganun din yung problema mo sa pangalawa. We failed to automate para mapadali yung trabaho. So we failed to learn. So we cannot improve ourselves to adapt on the new type of new technologies nowadays. But because of this mga issues, attackers are vetting to exploit these issues, best practices daw. However, I would like to tell you na this issue is not exclusive sa atin. You are not alone with this. Meron ng mga history beforehand na nangyayari itong issues na ito. So I would like to give you some example. Yan. This is the Mirai bot infecting IoT devices before. So yung Mirai bot, it was used to attack DNS and other websites using mga CCTVs, biometrics, mga IoT devices na exposed online by using their default or yung mga backdoor credentials ng mga IoT devices. It was used to install malware, tapos dinagyan ng mga DDoS scripts na monitor, ginamit pang atake ng mga websites. So authentication issue yun, mga compromised password nakalagay pa sa mga IoT devices. Ito, it was mentioned kanina sa laro, WannaCry virus. WannaCry ransomware. So, this WannaCry ransomware is using the vulnerability called MS17010, diba? From IT downloading porns, pirated, to massive encryption of vulnerable workstations. So, akala nila, okay lang yan, patch lang yan, akala nila Avengers lang yan. Well, hindi nila alam, pala siya, WannaCry. So, kaya, pag-download ng malware, then kumalat agad sa mga workstations nila na vulnerable. So, these two notorious malwares were example lang ito sa mga impact against securities na na-mention ko kanina, but this is also possible sa control environment natin. So, during my previous assessment, I have commonly found these two issues, yung sa authentication at saka mga vulnerabilities, na common pag yung company natin is just practicing IT, traditional IT, yung mga bumibili pa ng mga servers, usually mga SMEs. So some cyber security firms may or may not found these issues, but alam natin if you are that IT in that company, diba? I believe this issue is existing talaga. So with those bad things I discussed, meron naman tayong mga recommendations dyan. I prepared some PPP or the PPE. Hindi lang sila yung may mga PPE, tayo din. PPP, ano yan, policy, people at saka program or equipment. So first remediation natin dyan is the policy. So I suggest we should be defining our IT operations, procedures, and also embed security on it. Especially, wag nating hayaan ang client natin to interact with administrators. Dapat doon talaga sa help desk support. So this is to avoid conspiracy. Add ako sa wifi kasi friends tayo. So, may mga ganyang issue. Pero if you want to avoid that certain issue, pwede tayong mag-job redundancy pero it's too expensive. I suggest to have a proper SDLC procedures and ITIL. Mas maganda yung ITIL kasi may magandang IT operations din silang pwedeng mabigay. Also define your ISP, information security policy. So next is we should be committed with those two living documents. Hindi lang tayo gumawa ng policies just for compliance. We should be practicing this by heart inside the organization. So after that, we should remember to document everything. Yung installation manual, yung backup, yung restoration ng systems, testings, at saka yung BCP. So alam naman natin may mga COVID tayo. I am keep reminding about BCP. So after documenting everything, let's start inventory. Inventory natin yung mga information assets, ilang servers yan, anong system yan. Classified natin, sino yung priority. Classified natin kung ano yung klase, CII ba ito or mga workstations lang. Then let's add the prioritization on those classified information asset. Then embed protections, monitoring, and testing on the protection systems. People, so always assign personnel. I suggest that let's review our process flow and assign a proper single personnel on each proper processes at saka even servers. Dapat isa lang talaga yung accountable person dyan. Hindi pwedeng dalawa kayo. Dapat isa lang kasi ang problema yan. Magtuturoan yan in the later part. So it should be one. So properly assigned personnel. So if there is a need to re-evaluate your IT organization, so be it. You have the inventory, you have the list of personnel, you properly assign them, then kung kailangan mag-reorg, then reorg. Next is programs or equipment, yung sinabi ko nga kanina. Develop or deployed softwares to keep track requests, yung pang-help desk na application. Every request is your savings. Treat it with monetary value kasi may oras naman kayong ini-spend dyan. Hindi pwedeng maliit na bagay lang. Dapat, pati mga maliit na bagay, ililista nyo yan. Kasi magre-reflect din sa performance din ng mga personnel na nagre-request. Bakit si employee 1, palaging problema niya, printer, hindi lang nakasaksak. So, baka kailangan turuan. At least ma-minimize nyo. Sa amin, sa previous experience ko, we are vetting na hindi lalampas ng 100 requests in a month. Marami kasi sila, like almost 40 branches remotely. So, minimize namin yan as much as possible. Dapat nasa 80-70 lang yan. Kasi we are looking kung ano yung mga concurrent na mga trabaho, then provide solutions on that. Kung pabalik-balik ang problema ng computer nila, din turuan sila kung paano ayusin yung mga ganong tipo. Huwag lang masyadong technical, of course. And also, check out with these following terms, virtualization, configuration management, Dockerized, CI/CD, and cloud technologies. Kung nakakaluwang na tayo sa buhay, yan yung mas magandang balikan natin sa mga technologies ngayon. But this recommendation I provided may not be 100% successful. This is just my opinion, in my experience. But I will, this will help you fill in and identify the gaps, the costs, the views of corporate current state. So with this, help you IT personnel in providing proper, aligning them to their proper work and share the burden to the management on how you can fill in the gap. So with the proper documentation, with the figures in hand, pwede ka na makalapit sa management mo ulit and tell them this is your problem. We need this. We have gaps in here. Paano kung masira yung server? Wala na kaming tao for that. So mga ganong bagay. So now, as I promised kanina, I'll be showing you how I use Metasploit in attacking multiple servers massively. So I prepared 5 servers if I will be stalling the private key. Okay, so here is it. Nakakasunod ba? Lumalabas ba yung sa screen ko? Hello?
Yep, meron.
Kita sir.
Kita.
Yeah, nice.
Oy, may port.
Thank you. So, okay. Close na. Okay, so eto, here's my Metasploit console. First of all, yun nga sabi ko, if I stolen your private key, so yan, meron akong yung demo keys. Yan yung na-stole ko galing sa 5 servers down na ginawa ko. So what I use is this kind of module. So SSH login pub. Yan, ito yung ginagamit ko. Then next is, well, let's check targets para sigurado. Yan yung 5 IPs na i-attack natin. Let's set the username. So Ubuntu. And then the targets. So file, loot, and targets. Ano pa ba? The key, of course. Key path, kung saan nakasave yung demo key natin. Yan. Meron pa ba? And wala na. So let's start to run. And hinahack niya na isa-isa yung server natin using the private key. Yan. Pumasok na tayo isa, may session na tayo isa. Number 2, yan. Open na tayo ng pangalawang session. Next is yan, number 3. So, hindi kasi siya ganun kahirap or mano-mano paano mag-hack kung mayroon ka lang automated tool. So, on this demonstration, ang ginamit natin dito is yung Metasploit, which is common naman yan sa mga penetration testing ng mga OS. Yun. Tapos na yung 5. So, we can double check this. Ayan. So, ito yung 5 servers na na-compromise. So, after this, ang gagawin natin is I prepared a test script for DDoS na pwede nating i-install sabay-sabay dyan sa 5 server na yan. So, copy-paste na lang tayo kasi hindi ko memorize. Yeah. Ang ginagawa niya dito is galing sa repository ko. I-download niya yung script. At saka, naku. Mali. For the sessions. Yan. Ayan, dina-download niya na yung script. Papuntang mga compromised servers ko. So, dalawa. So, ganun din siya kadali. Isang code lang yung ini-execute. Titirahin niya lahat ng mga session na meron. Lahat na compromised na mga servers. Ayan. So, nalagyan na yung 5 session. Ito, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nalagyan na lahat ng DDoS scripts. So, pwede na natin titirahin yung anong website ang gusto nyo, mas maganda ito. Yan. So, pag input mo yan, patatakbuhin niya na naman yung script sa lahat ng servers. Yan. nagsisend na siya ng packet sa Google. Yan. So, ganyan lang siya kadali kung paano mag-hack massively. So, kung meron ka lang automated codes, diretso-diretso na yan. So, before I end this presentation, I'm hoping na meron tayong natutunan sa insight na pinrovide ko, and hope to improve your IT operations in helping the company moving forward sa new norms natin as IT. So, once again, good afternoon and good evening, and thank you very much.
Yun, thank you, sir. Ba't mo hinak si
Galing,
Google?
galing. Galing ni Eskie.
Wala.
Okay, thank you, Sir Eskie.
Wala lang yun.
Kunyari lang yan,
Thank
basta
you.
kahit ano lang ma-attack, no? Pero ang galing, ano? Parang pina-password crack mo sabay-sabay. Different machines at the same time. So parang
Sorry,
mala DOS Sige, sir, sa next time yun.
Opo.
Okay, thank you, Sir James. Alright, so yung mga may question dyan, pakilagay na lang muna sa chat box natin, or both dun sa live chat sa YouTube and sa Google Meet. And Sir Eskie, please, pakicheck na lang yung mga questions nila doon. Okay. Sige, Ma'am Kim, ikaw na ulit.
Okay, thank you, James Makiling. Naday ka dira sa Gensan. Ang nice nitong online meetup natin, no? Kasi, kahit saan tayo, pwede tayong makapag-participate and learn and share. But most of us naman siguro nasa Metro Manila lang, no?
Hindi po, ma'am.
Tama ba?
Most siguro, I think, siguro mga about 50%. Pero, nga pala, banggitin ko na rin, shoutouts dun sa mga OFW natin sa Middle East, mga IT guys and IT community guys natin dyan, nakakonect sila ngayon. And then, may small community din tayo sa Singapore, which is the Cyber Paladins. So kung next ganit tayo sa Pinas, Cyber Paladins sa Singapore, merong digital defenders naman sa Middle East, yan, led by Sir Nick and Sir Renzon. So yan, nagsa-start pala yung group nila doon, pero sana lumaki din, and hopefully makatulong din kami sa group niya dyan.
Nice. So, ayun, we're down to our second to the last participant na in our speed talks. So,
Pansin mo ba? Teka lang, kasi talaga, ito problema talaga, mga IT, mga imutanan bigla na lang pag pinatawag si Sir Alan, supposed to be mag-start na siya, kasi lang kinakausap siya ng CEO nila. Mayroon yatang issue sa US, so tumawag ng conference call. And then, another one is si Sir Nato rin, nasa call pa. So both sila dalawa, medyo madidelay. Ganito lang muna, gawin natin jump na tayo dun sa dalawa nating speaker na who will also be presenting for the debate. Diba? Okay ba yun?
okay. Oo. So, proceed na tayo sa debate part.
Kami, Sir Humphrey. Sir Humphrey.
Sorry, Tito Humps.
Sige, kahit wala ka muna si Manong Humps, okay lang. Pakita na agad. Sino bang Ricardo Cogay? Pero masabda ng buong pangalan. Na lang muna. So, sige, Ma'am Jenny, ready ka ba? Ma'am Jenny.
I think so.
Biglang nagdumami nung sinabi ko magde-debate na, ang dami nag-join
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
So Jenny muna and then Milo later, okay?
Okay. Let me see how I set now. There we go. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yay!
Yes, we can see it.
Let's start.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna start. So
Go.
my quick talk today is malware is not pen testing. No, really, it's not. Um, so who am I? I'm Jenny Mullhenny, and that's my full name. Totoo yun. I'm a aggressor princess. That's what I do. I like Jollibee. And that's pretty much me and my kuya. Um, some dry terminology so that everybody gets to understand my position. So, purely definition wise, malware is a software that is specifically designed to disrupt, damage, or gain unauthorized access to a computer system. Penetration testing, everybody knows that. I guess it's like the buzzword of for at least a couple of years now. Uh, it's a authorized simulated attack on a computer system, and it's performed to evaluate the security of a said computer system. And most importantly, the one says it consists of both the technique and methodology. So hindi lang tira ng tira. The other the other part is BAS, which is the breach and attack simulation. It's an automated toolset used to simulate attacker breach methods. And the last one, everybody knows this, of course, when you're on the pen testing or on the vulnerability management scene, vulnerability scanning. It's a security technique used to identify security weaknesses in a computer system. Now, since this talk is super dry, I'm just gonna lay it out like this. I pick the most common pen testing methodologies, open source security testing methodology manual, OWASP, the Information System Security Assessment Framework, NIST 800-115, and P-Test. So the quick question is, what do they have in common? They all have these pretty much 4 key features. The planning, which is, of course, you need to talk to your clients. And then, of course, you need to engage them. Make sure that you're allowed to do it. The next part is discovery. Of course, you need to do your reconnaissance, Google dorking, whatnot. And then the next phase is the attack. That's where we get crafty and pretty much exploit, or at least try to exploit a system. And then the last part, the one that actually makes money, the reporting part. No one likes to do it, but it's a necessary evil, if you will. Because organizations would not pay you if you can't show them a report. So things like this, specifically with the discovery and attack phases, they routinely loop, meaning paikot-ikot sila. Now, for the malwares are pretty much behavior set. So malicious behavior, to be exact, and they can be attributed to a single phase of the pen test methodology, which is the attack phase. Now, it is true that certain malwares can have AI, like super smart to an extent. Polymorphic, it can rewrite some parts of its code, or metamorphic, it can rewrite its own thing, etc. But caveat here, it's not Skynet. It's not gonna take over and pretty much bust everybody's balls. It doesn't work like that. Now, what a penetration test provides, when done correctly, a report, of course. Definitely a report. And organizations are provided with a context. That's very crucial. for vulnerability and the exposure, because the business are not really hackers. But they do need the perspective. They do need the exact context on what the risks is or are. So you provide, as a penetration testing company or a pen tester, you're providing a realistic security posture for the organization. You're not just waving around a vulnerability scanner or some automated tool and say, look, here are all your vulnerabilities. It just doesn't work like that. Now the third point, it can help test your cyber defense capabilities. So SOC, CERT, optics, your firewalls, your NIDs, etc. Last part, if you're a third party, then you can provide expert opinion, right? And it's unbiased, pretty much, because you're a third party. You need to be outside the box. Lastly, a detailed analysis of vulnerabilities, including logic bugs, software behavior. You just couldn't replicate that. Ate Jenny, paano daw yung BAS? There you go. The breach and attack simulation, yeah, it sits from a construct of what a penetration testing methodology is. It sits on the three, I would say, blocks. Discovery, attack, reporting phases. But it does not provide an overall context. So again, it's not a real penetration test. So you can claim that it is. If you have a capable pen test team, an internal or third party, if you compare certain BAS solutions, which I did some research on them, I know some of them, it's better to, if you have an experienced team, it's better to just bundle up an open source tool and you can provide more value for this. Now, if your organization wants a quick checkbox, for example, a PCI or whatever, a HIPAA, then sure, you can do that. You can automate things and have the QSA look at it. It's the fastest way to do it. But, realistically speaking, do not expect that will provide the organization a realistic security posture, because everything is synthetic. Lastly, do not expect this technology to replace pen testers and save you a ton of money as an org. It's built to augment an existing team or capability. It is not built for being the end all. And the funny part is a lot of people throw this, the AI, it has Mitri, attack framework. But in reality, AI means artificial intelligence. It does not mean actual intelligence. There's a difference. Now, this is a cool sample from the PITSF of what not to do. So, kudos to AJ, because this is funny. Yeah, walang report. You can't just hit sites. You can't just hack it and call the pen test. No, it doesn't work like that. You do not get a get out of jail free card. And of course, walang bayad. And lastly, you're just fucking annoying. That's what you're really doing. You're not providing any service. And that's it. Shouts to 2600 Milo and RootCon. Now, I'll answer your questions on the chats and probably a debate later, but that's it. Peace.
Yung tao mo daw, Ma'am Jenny, mayroong laman na. Okay. So, guys, thank you, Ma'am Jenny. Guys, yung questions nyo, kasi nag-aabot tayo sa oras, so send muna dun sa chat group and later we'll have an open forum. So, Humprey, nasa ka na ba? Ikaw ang
andito ako.
Ikaw ang referee, di ba?
Ikaw.
Batamaan ako eh. Sige, ikaw ang bahala.
Wag yung tatanong kung babae si Jenny, lalaki ha. Basta alam ko, mahal ko na siya.
Yun.
2020 na, okay lang. Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, I'm here to introduce the next speaker. So yung next speaker natin is si Milo Pacamara. Actually, Milo and I, madalas kaming nagbabagayan sa forums pero kaibigan ko yan. Actually, yan yung sinasabi nating sa ideolohiya, posibleng nasa magkabilang mundo tayo. Pero sa level ng kaibigan ko yan si Milo. Okay, so si Milo is the chief strategist for CERT and is a Microsoft MVP and is actually still active and working as an IT security guy. So, Milo, mahal na din po kita. Grab the mic. Hindi, kaibigan ko yan, si Milo.
Go, Sir Milo, the floor is yours.
Okay. Give me a moment. Can you see my screen?
Teka Milo, may sabihin lang ako. May napansin ba kayo kay Jenny sa kay Milo? Parehas silang spokening dollar. May accent din.
Alright, so we good?
Go!
Alright, counting down. Okay, malware from pen testing. So malware as a pen test automation or pen testing automation, pick your fancy. Okay. So most of you guys use the term pen testing. We use the other one. So adversarial AAT attack. So that's adversarial assessment, attack, or test. So as the content pointed by Jenny, it is an authorized cyber simulated attack. For cyber is for pen testing. So simulated attack on infrastructure and its asset. Perform to evaluate the security of your organization. So the coverage is operations, physical, logical infra, application network, computer systems, and its combination or others. So this is the entire 9 yards of your, the kill chain. So primarily they say that it has not been proven or so been used before. So we go back in time. So as far as 2009, pointed out, using malware for penetration testing. Now, it's not a matter of if captured malware is being used in pen testing, it's rather why it's not being used by most pen testers. So if you look at the reference, you have at least one of the very famous AV industry in that list, and 3 others are still in there. All right. Now, well, we go back in time just to make a point. So because I cannot use the most latest malware and actually, well, dispose of it here for public consumption. So we'll pick the old ones. So what you have here is a list of malware classes. You have a Banco, so that's pretty much siphoned up almost $15 to $30 million, if I'm not mistaken, way back. Pronto. So the one category at top is it's Shoturday, update active late, network capable, USB capable, macro, brute force, user help or user interface, user interaction needed, PE or file infector, DDoS capable. So these are the malwares known to, well, most commonly that pestered up the industry. All right. So let's check on one at a time. So Brontok, and I'm not sure if some of you have encountered one. So it started as a worm, then it evolved to a PE infector. Along its way, it became a DDoS along the process. Okay, and it uses a user, user help, or so user interaction. So configure, you have an update late, and NAT capable, USB, brute force capable, no user interaction needed. And most of the malware or PE infector in this list actually piggybacks on configure along the way, and it's a DDoS capable as well. So, and I believe some of you guys know the last part of the list. That's a Seaboat SUS. All right. So primarily, few malwares here use the vulnerabilities to propagate. It's a combination of one or multiple vulnerabilities to propagate and evolve and wreak havoc in the industry since as early as 2005. Now, if we go back further, we can, if you heard of Sasser and Blaster, it uses the vulnerability for MS04, 011. It came as early as 2003. This is when it all started. Okay, just for reference. Now, By the way, before we proceed, the one we're picking for today for as a reference is Configure. So the Configure variant is running on 2008 4250, and the vulnerabilities used is MS06040 to MS08067. Okay. Now, as you can see in the list is the functionality, the action, the capabilities, the defense mechanism, and any updates that came after. So the variant is a version, okay, for common folks. So infection, they're using the RC for MS08627, HTTP pool. So the configure started the concept of botnet and what you call that, and backdoors. And it doesn't have a defense mechanism. That's the first variant that A. Now, if you go further going down up until to E, then up until to the time that well, I handled it, it became KK. All right, so double extension variant. So if you can see the capability of these things, it started as a common exploiter for vulnerability. Then it added up dictionary attack. Then it elevated itself with removable media. Then, if you can see it capable of pull, net bias push, HTTP pull, net bias. Then it elevated itself to P2P push to pull. All right, and it can even disable an anti-malware. All right. Now the latter variant, the KK, E to KK. This malware, regular worm, was actually being used now by different P infector as a propagation platform. So it means they infect it purposely in order to spread it properly because of its capability. Okay. Now, just a shellcode routine. Some of you have already encountered one. So, well, the shellcode routine for what you call that for configure pretty much infected the system we run on HTTP server using the port in between 1024 to 10,000. Executed shellcode connects back to the server, download actual payload in the form of DLL, attaches itself to SBC host DXC, services the DXC, explore the DXC threads. Now, to make it harder to remove, because if you try to knock them off, the system actually crashed. And the requirements for the business is you do not reboot. Okay, this is primarily because the target were servers or legacy OS. So then execute a copy of yourself to admin $ shares. So pretty much it uses the God account. It uses dictionary attack to overcome the password protection and stores it in the for use of lateral movement. And it propagates across all the media and across the network. So I black it out everything just for security purposes. Now, you say that this is the shellcode. Now let's move to the exploit on the wire. So this is actually what you call that. This is the packet. This is the packet now. So SMB negotiate, maturity thing. Let's focus on the red part. Now on the red part, before the red part, that's the packet actually, the exploit packet. If you can see, it goes on service netpath canonized request. Now using 4445. Then it goes on up until to the point it drops the PEDLL download. Okay, so this is the routine done by the configure. That is just one worm. Okay, now for the general context, there's two behaviors. So this, if you see in the list, both sides the same function. So in check in particular the OTF or TTF, so if particular language being used, it will not infect you. Okay. Now it checks itself. If check itself, it's already been in your computer, so it creates a mutex. If it sees a shell of itself in the computer, then it will move away from it. So same purpose to the other side, checks and create mutex. Now, if you go down, the purpose is all but the same. To overcome your infrastructure. Identify if it's viable for infection, then scans the adjacent system by UDP and inspect by a TCP. So both ways, all right? Now, if you see here, this is just one generated file, action by a single file that can actually infect your entire infrastructure. Now, I'm not sure how you guys measure the effectivity of pen testing, but this malware can do the entire infection of your network within 8.5 seconds. Okay. It checks connectivity page itself and checks so everything is designed. Now, on the if you look at the lower segment, just for the just above the seconds, it creates a botnet system via domain generation. So after it infect one, it makes it like a hosting services, and it downloads from the adjacent network. Now it checks itself for file sanity and signature. Now, this variable is a behavior malware that uses what RSA, so it cannot be overcome by any security. Okay, and elevates itself once it sees that it propagated across the network properly. So now they're saying, okay, what's the connection of malware and what you call that, the pen testing? Now, this is the old version of a malware. Now, this is a new version of a malware. Malware technology right now uses multi-platform, multi-exploit, ultra-fast spread, polymorphic, metamorphic, and zero-day. Now, added to that, it's modular. Now, the modular part, if you look at the very last part, it can call other malware along with itself. Now, the future is AI-driven. Now, the concept here is this. Most companies that actually practice it, okay, maybe a proof of concept, or so that's one mentioned as a VAS, is actually practicing what the actual attacker does. It's not limiting itself, it's actually showcasing itself to be more productive than the regular pen test. On what manner? Because it is using full automation used by the very attacker. So this, how can you guys use the malware or whatnot for pen testing? So what we term use is we captured it, or reverse engineered malware, or so NERF malware. Now these malwares are pretty much controlled basis. They can pretty much load in multi-export to logical attack if needed. So as I pointed out, 8.5 seconds for a what? An 11-year-old malware, to be exact, and it's still running today. And there is also a part that a configure was used in a 2008 to 2009 threat in Middle East industrial facility, as well as those nearing to Stuxnet. So it's a viable option. It was used along the way. Now, as of 2017, they said that it's gone. But it started with 2012, so it started 2008. It peaks out at 2.56 million infection. Up until 2016, it's still running at 0.33 million. Now, this is just one malware we're looking at. Now, if you use it properly, or so, if it's done properly, this is one of the platforms there is used in proper pen testing. Why? Because you're using the same technology as your attacker is using. Now, the difference with pen testing right now is using what? Publicly known product, open source product. They're not actually the real deal. If you encounter the malware, which is done by a good guy, or so, well, not a good guy, correct me there, done by an intelligent person, it can actually yield as much as the actual threat. Now, the reference for that one is there below. So that's pretty much it for the 15 minutes. So I just used 12 minutes of my time. So that's pretty much it, guys, for me. Ciao.
Milo, may tanong sa chat. May girlfriend ka na daw?
What, sorry?
May girlfriend ka na daw?
I'll pass on that one. I do sponsor, by the way. I have a Milo Foundation. Anyone who wants to join in the Milo Foundation, you can share this.
Papasikatin kita, Iha Foundation.
Baka mali yung tanong. Baka may boyfriend yung tanong. Dapat.
My foundation exclusive to girls, so Jenny is not allowed.
Nice one. Okay, thank you, Sir Milo. Very good. Okay, so, anong gagawin natin sa Humprey?
I'm not interested in your foundation, Milo, because it's made up of rubber bands.
Okay, teka lang, rebuttal muna, di ba? May rebuttal muna. Meron ba? Magra-rebuttal ba kayo? Ano ba?
Well, like summarization nung slides nila kung bakit malware is pen testing or malware is not pen testing.
Oh, sige, sige. Ganun na lang. So one more, maybe another 5 minutes na bigyan natin sila ulit to summarize their thoughts and, you know, maybe an answer to what the previous speaker said, no? Tama ba ako, Sir Humprey? Yung ba yung ibig sabihin ng rebuttal?
Gusto namin ng mga bars.
Na? Okay.
Gusto namin ng mga bars.
O, sige. Pasok mo na yung lagyan ng beat. Lagyan natin ng beat, di ba? Parang ano lang. Left corner, right corner. Sige.
So yeah, sino unang magsisimula? I guess the first speaker. Jen would start the debate, clarifying or explaining about the malware is not for or not a penetration testing, something like that. Then after 5 minutes ba, tama, Sir Dennis? Then rebut on Milo side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sige. Let's go, let's go.
I think my slides pretty much explain
Hmm.
that it's definitely not malware. So there isn't much information that I can provide to push the idea. I'm pretty much giving you guys a copy of the deck. But besides that, yeah, it's purely we're talking about automation and pretty much a static set of functions, regardless of how malware can move itself from the point of entry to internal within the organization. It would not move as fluid as actual penetration testers, especially the experienced ones. I don't think that one takes 5 minutes. Yeah, this is it's a very lame topic. That's my stance.
Okay. Okay. So, Ma'am Jenny, yun na ba yun? I think ang gusto maging point ni Ma'am Jenny is that pen testing requires some, flexibility and, it's a dynamic type of activity na responds to what is given to you. So malware in another sense is maybe gaya nga sinabi na static. So given na yung mga steps, so it doesn't really have the ability to quickly respond, to sudden changes sa network or sa client's infrastructure, right? And I mean,
Exactly. Yep. And so even with the BAS solution and calling it like a pen tester in a box, it's still static because even if it can generate reports automatically, the reports are stale because they pretty much have a generalized summary of a finding. If it were to have some sort of AI on the reporting. Now, this is just like the stretch of the idea, right? So, like the Google Assistant or Alexa, it's gonna try and scour the internet for answers. Now, hackers can also influence the internet, just like Tay, the Microsoft AI. That ended up saying profanity all the time. So it's not it is predictable, but it's not a silver bullet. So that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. All right, very well said, Ma'am Jenny. So, okay, ito naman, bigyan din natin ng chance. Ikaw, Sir Humps, anong masasabi mo? Parang mas lalo kami nag-nosebleed nung pinakinggan namin yung dalawa eh. Parang matalino eh.
Yung pagkakintindi ko sa sinabi ni Jenny is we should not rely on the automated tools and products available sa market. The success or the quality of the pen test relies on the artistic approach of the one doing the pen test.
Okay.
Well, yeah, penetration testing kasi, di ba, like, it's a process, di ba? When you're conducting a penetration testing, there's a process, including the mentioned by Rodel over the chat box, which is the reporting. Yeah, and but I'm eager to know the side of Milo naman when it comes to malware is penetration testing or for penetration testing. So go ahead, Milo.
Okay. Milo, ikaw naman, ang rebuttal
Okay,
cross-examination.
Yeah, I'll put it this way. Yeah, you guys talk about process. Well, of course, everything has a process. Now, the very reason it was re-engineered, the malware that was captured was re-engineered for the purpose of using the active threat. Now, what you call that? Most of the malwares being used right now, if you can see, can penetrate much of everything. Okay, most of them are there zero. Now, for example, just for reference, this configure that I'm using an example because it's old, I should not be using the new one. Now, just for uniqueness of this malware, now you guys said it's static. I beg to differ. This is a dynamic malware. For what? I've worked with this for 2000 from since 2008 to 2014. It increased its variant for what? Almost 2-letter. You see the KK. It started from A to KK. Now, the guys we're dealing with this one is not the regular hacker that you're dealing with. These are awesome architects. I have a respect for them because they're good opposition. Now, for uniqueness part, I believe you know about a day zero because most of you guys are pen testers. You use a day zero. Now, the malware can be day zero in a matter of seconds. We just change a bit of a file in that malware, package it or pack it with another packer. Pretty much it changes. No antivirus can detect it. So that's why antivirus companies are still chewing up their food before they actually can detect it. I've worked for an AV company, and some of you guys here work for an AV company. We're receiving what, 3 million, approximately 300,000 malware a day. And that's manned only by what, 60 to 30 people? Now, you mean static, like, yeah, there's a process and whatnot. That's why reverse engineering a malware and then using a captured malware is better than any other things because it was designed by a unique attacker. So just for what you call that, configure. All right, I'll just give you an overview of a payload. So the payload is hashed by a SHA-1 encrypted by a RC4. Well, it's an old one, so it's 512 bit key. So hash is signed in by RSA and the 1024-bit key. Now, the payload can be only deployed if the signature is valid. Now, if anything that's altered on that malware, it will disable itself, else it will delete itself. Now, if it's successful, it upgrades itself to the hash function to MD6. Now, that's much better than the MD5 value. So it's for encryption. Now, it increases the key size of each RSA to 4096 bits. The worm disabled pretty much the system module for auto update, error reporting, block third-party update, even the antivirus scan engine. It deletes also the restore point if you're attacking a Windows. So it is not dynamic, but it is a well-planned infrastructure. I haven't seen an actual malware guy, a hacker guy who made much of $1 million compared to a malware author who makes the topmost grossing malware that was actually deployed to an Austrian bank or a Swiss bank, rack in 3 billion. So what is better than using an actual malware that works and repurpose it for pen testing? Because you would know the actual enemy, the design itself, and the actual goal. If you can resist a malware, a working malware, it means you are pretty much secure at least at the 90% value. But nothing is perfect. So that will give you a heads up. And again, it's not a static. The reporting part, if you guys are asking, the reporting part, well, put it this way. your infrastructure, your pen test process, well, every known BAS or AV or security company who does use malware for pen testing, who loads up the new exploit on it as a part of its new module, pretty much has that same process, detection, reporting, and everything. So yeah, I'm just asking why it's not being used in the Philippines, because it's actually being used since what, 2008. Yeah, just touch my end. Ciao, guys.
Okay. Sige, sir. Thank you, Sir Milo, no? So, I think ako naman, napulot ko naman, no, kay Sir Milo is, we can't really say na 100% siguro static din ang malware because, when we say AI, it has the ability to decide on its own given what are the options, di ba? That's why kaya nanalo sa chess si Deep Blue eh. So, I think that with the advanced malwares that we have and different techniques na ginagawa nila like command and control, di ba? Tama ba ako yung what is that? Yung ability to even change its architecture or construction like
polymorphic version,
polymorphic and metamorphic viruses, di ba? So yeah, and I think the point ni Milo dito is to be practical. Ano ba yung gumagawa ng damage sa mga systems natin? Hackers lang ba? Hindi, di ba? Meron ding mga virus na gumagawa ng damage sa systems natin. So I think there's a line in between na still, malware is not 100% gonna be something that you can use by itself to do pen testing at all times. May not be as applicable as what we have right now. Diba? Pero with the use of automation, we speed things up. Diba? That's the reason we always use tools. Diba? Maraming sabi hackers don't use tools. Hindi, kalokohan yan. Hackers will always use tools pa rin. Sila lang naiintindihan nila yung ginagawa nila. Kaya nila gumawa ng tool at alam nila mismo kung ano nangyayari sa tool. Yung script kiddie, gumagamit ng tool na hindi nila alam kung anong ginagawa nila. Hindi nila alam kung paano gumagana. Diba?
Yes.
Puso mo.
Yan. Pero I mean, I'm just looking at the both points din dito, no? Kasi you both have a point actually eh. Tama ba? Teka, hinga muna ako. Ikaw muna AJ.
You're hypertension, man. You're hypertension.
Okay. Ikaw, Jay, ikaw na.
Yeah. I agree naman din sa sinabi mo, Dennis. Yeah.
This is Sir Alexis. May sabi natin Sir Alexis. Wala. Ito masabi ko, both have points and sigurado sa pinag-usapan natin ngayong gabi na to and listening to both knowledges from different perspectives, ang panalo tayo kasi tayong mga nakikinig, we just learned a lot of new things na o nga naman pala, may ganun nga naman palang point, and especially sa mga people who want to really learn about pen testing, there's way to automate things, but still there's importance in doing things manually. And ayun. So ganito na lang. Gagawa tayo ng poll, diba, sa PSIT para you can all give your input. Lagyan nyo sa chat kung ano sa tingin nyo. And itong grupo natin na Knights of the Net, welcome to mga debates na to as in hindi naman to personalan talagang medyo may konting payabangan lang talaga pero may konting kapilyuhan lang rin talaga pero that's really why IT has evolved, diba? Because of these debates, it's not about proving that I am right but proving that the concept is right or is worth looking at or should be taken in account. Okay, so yun yung
Tama, Sir Dennis. And it's also good when you're drinking coffee early morning. That's pretty much what PITSF is, for me at least.
Nawala eh. Ang Jenny, nasa na?
Yeah, pero sa dulo nga naman, 'di ba? Yung knowledge, 'di ba? Nakakakuha tayo ng knowledge, nakaka-share ng knowledge, nadadagdagan ng knowledge yung ibang tao by doing this kind of event, debates, everything. So, yeah, that's the the
So,
para
agree to disagree.
yeah.
And kiss and make up. So, AJ, kiss mo na si Sir Milo. Ma'am Jenny, ako na lang kiss mo. Sige, okay na. Okay na ako.
May dahilan kung bakit pinagtagpo si Milo sa si Jenny.
Bakit, sir?
Pala na ang taong madla.
Hello daw, hello.
Masaya.
Hello there.
Ayan.
Sermon na tayo.
Hindi ako yun. Hindi ako yun.
Hindi yun. Turla, malware yun. Kumakalap na naman. Turla malware, pakimatay please.
Ba't ako nasali na naman?
Punto malware.
Ano kaya magiging anak ni Milo tsaka ni Jenny? Siguro threat,
Uy.
no?
What do you get when you cross ganito? Okay, anyway,
You wish.
Tama na. Baka kung saan na makarating to. Wait a minute, guys. Thank you nga pala, by the way, Sir Franz, who's manning the administration sa YouTube side. Kaboses ni Raymond. Kaboses ni Mon eh. Mon, ikaw yata yun eh.
Hindi ako yun, promise.
Okay, so thank you very much sa mga nag-participate. Unfortunately, hindi nakarating yung dalawa nating speaker, pero we'll have the open forum pa the rest of the nights. But for the session, we would like to bring this to a close. And thank you again for attending. Sir Raymond. Oh, huli-huli ka, Rodel. Ikaw yon.
Si Rodel.
Raymond. Teka lang, mag-closing pa. Tumingin nga kayo.
Yes, sir.
Mag-closing naman sa Raymond eh. Closing remarks, Sir Raymond. Take it away.
So, magandang gabi sa lahat. May nanalo sa debate. Nanalo tayo. Okay. Sa dami na natutunan natin tonight. So, salamat sa mga speakers natin. Si Doc Lansigan, Sir Eric, si Eskie, and yung master debaters natin, si Milo, at si Jenny. Okay, and salamat sa moderators, si Ma'am Kimchi, Sir Dennis, and Sir Humps. Okay, so, yun. I think the main point naman ng PITSF, and then of course yung mga online meetup natin is gain more knowledge and improve basically the security skill sets of everyone. And with that, improving din yung security posture ng organizations natin and of course yung bansa natin. We need more researchers para matuldukan natin kung ano ba talaga ang mas okay, automated na pen test na using malware or manual. And sa learning, walang katapusan talaga sa security. Never a dull moment. Every minute, every hour may something yun na interesting on our field. And again, sa field na security, marami. May pen test, may malware reverse engineering, may forensics, may auditing compliance, kasama yun. May kanya-kanyang specialty tayo. And it pays to know yung different sides of security. And basically, it increases our knowledge. Okay? And a component of that would be let's learn everything we can given the time and skill set na kahit kung nasaan tayo, it would increase really yung capability natin once we do learning on our own pace. Especially now na madami naka-lockdown, marami tayong dapat free time. Don't waste it on MMORPG. Okay, aral lang tayo. And just short reminder din sa mga kids na hisimula pa lang. Kasi kung nahirapan ka, maraming possible mentor sa PITSF. So, kumontak lang kayo doon. Kung Team Jenny ba kayo o Team Milo, di ba? Kayo na bahala sa aking subscribe. And helpful naman yung
Guys,
dalawang
if,
yan eh.
if
Although,
you guys are Team Jenny, just a heads up, I don't sparkle, okay?
okay.
Ay,
Okay. So, ayun. Choose your own mentors, but be careful though. Diba? A mentor could mean good life insecurity or maybe jail time. Depends on your mentor. Anyway, with that, I would like to invite everyone sa RootCon 14. We'll be hosting it in Taal Vista pa rin, October 8 to 9. We are now in call for papers mode. So kung meron kayo research, anything about security, even mind hacking, meron dating topic na ganun. So just submit them and we'll evaluate kung saan kayo nag-fit. Then hopefully you could see each other in person. Hopefully si Tita Jenny and Sir Milo matin ng RootCon. Okay?
oh yeah.
So Dennis, babalik ka. Okay. Nakahanda na yung anak mo.
Jenny, make sure you wear a miniskirt, okay? And then I want to see those windows, okay? I like fit. It should be not loose. It should be an open
Oy,
fit.
may fetish.
DOM talaga yun. DOM na DOM. DOM na DOM talaga.
With that, I close
Mga pinagsasabi mo kanina tungkol dun sa malware, it was so old and then even your approach, it's super old.
Pag kayo nagkita sa personal, tapos may anak to Alright,
anyway,
sige,
so
RootCon na.
that's formally closed. That's free for all na kung anong open forums tayo.
Oh. Kita-kita sa RootCon guys Para meron akong aakbayan pag natutumbang ako.
Kami na
Babawi pala ako, no? Babawi pala ako ngayon.
Sponsor na ng RootCon yung isang group nila.
Okay.
Okay. Good night. Thank you, Sir Raymond. Thank you all. Sir Humprey, Ma'am Kim.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.